Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the show Weebs of the Ring, episode 77 for Monday night coverage of Monday Night Raw on October 21st, 2024. And are you yeet or no yeet? Technically, the bloodline came to interrupt the fucking match of Monday Night Raw for Jey Uso to lose his damn title. But if you want to just talk about that, you also should hear the sad news that happened after earlier today. We had goodbye for Samantha Irvin, but welcome Lilian Garcia returning full time. How did you feel about this news? Were you guys hurt? Gunther will be accepting at the Cody invitation for this Friday night SmackDown at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. If you're there, I will be there. So let's take some pictures, say hello to you. The visionary legendary Vash, and then we had a mid-card stories of Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed going 3 times, interrupting our boy Adam Pearce. We had the tag team titles, #1 contender of New Day versus AOP, and then Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus the American Maid. And then the end of the night, to continue talking with the stupidest shit of the shenanigans of Raquel Rodriguez should be fired as a security guard. The Liv Morgan match versus Damage Control, and then the two that interrupted the match from NXT. That will be the match tomorrow. So, without further ado, this is our mid-card stories, this is our main event stories, and this is the Weebs of the Ring. So, enjoy the time. If you like wrestling and anime, well, welcome for them to be collide.
Colliding we will, because with anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a trio of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all nerds out there. So be sure to grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other. We are, of course, brought to you by Animal We Studios, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Hopefully you guys are having a good, awesome Monday evening. It is, unfortunately, we had the curse of the week before the PLE shows where one of us, including your world champion, starts kind of snoozing a little bit during the show, gets a little boring, a little samey. But hey, we're going to talk about more of that. And I am, of course, never alone in this endeavor. For on my right, we have the optimist, the visionary himself, Legend D Vash. Legend D Vash, might have a legendary rant for you guys tonight. Vash, how you doing tonight?
Man, guys, this is the week for rants. We had one on Off the Bench a couple of days ago on the new channel. Go check that out. We had one on the Anime Lately podcast for Walkers that's coming out this week, either Wednesday or Thursday. I haven't decided, but it's almost done editing. And then we have tonight one by myself with fucking the Bloodline. Go fuck themselves. Jacob Fatu, someone where our mascot every Friday night to go fuck yourself out respectfully. Why do you have to do a super kick to our boy Jay? And Jimmy, where the fuck were you? You could have helped your goddamn brother. The visionary gave that idea last week. You should have taken it home if you wanted your boy to come back home. But now, shit.
Man, sometimes things happen and all that, but rants aside, just know that apparently transforming in a fight is cheating. But that's besides the point, because the one that's going to help us resolve all these things, kind of help us what's the good word I'm looking for, process everything that's happening. We have, of course, to my left, the genius of the mat himself. Drop this box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually really curious to see how this first part of the show is gonna go. Might have to be something I'm gonna have to clip and post on TikTok. I know for sure, just based on what I'm feeling right now. I don't know if it's gonna be a bunch of laughs or it'll be something. I'm pretty sure. But we usually laugh when we do this anyway, so.
Oh yeah.
It should be an
Don't worry.
Conversation.
I'm probably going to be laughing a lot during the show because, not going to lie, like I said in the intro, this kind of felt like to me a Raw that was just there for the video packages. which
Yeah.
seems to be the
Look,
curse.
look,
Again,
I just want to
I mean,
say
I'm going to
this
come up
was
with a better
better
name of this eventually.
This was a better episode than 2 weeks ago. It was 100% better. Last week was better than the first week. So 3 weeks so far out of Raw, we have the first week being subpar, the second week much better, and this one much better than the first week. So I feel like 2 out of 3 right now we're good. On my side of Legendary Vash, that's why I say 2 out of 3. I feel like you're doing good. Next week, let's see how we go. 3 out of 4. I hope it better not be 2 out of 4.
I mean, what normally happens when we get to these Saudi shows around the year, which is a common theme every single year, is you start to feel that nosedive. Because I was talking to one of my coworkers at work today, and I was like, because me and him were talking like this last year, but we were like, it's always this time of year, and you could notice it based on the sort of television that you're getting, that once you hit like early November, you're starting off hot, coming out of the fall. And then as you're like entering towards like Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that, you get that little nosedive in the beginning of November. And then once you get to Survivor Series, it starts going up and up and up, and then you pretty much stay there. So that I'm just like, I'm not really surprised everything feels the way it is, because the Saudi shows are just the Saudi shows. That's just basically the best way to put it. I will say they have done better attempting to flow certain things with those shows, because compared to how it was before, it's definitely a better way to enjoy the shows, because I remember the shows back then were like really hard to watch. But yeah, this it's gonna be fun to talk about our first topic when we dive into it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's quit tickling the little gravy a little bit. I don't know why we're tickling gravy. That's just the first thing I could think of.
I'm about to say
I don't know.
Thanksgiving's
Maybe
coming up, so probably the holidays.
Thanksgiving is coming up.
You're feeling ready for that November 1st song, sweet. I think potatoes, beans, tomatoes. I forgot how it goes. I'm so off right now, but yes, that song.
If only the weather would be cooler. You know, why was it 80 degrees today? I hate everything.
Questionable.
But speaking of hot things, we had the hottest match of the night tonight. We had the IC Championship on the line. Jey Uso putting up his title against Bron Breakker in a rematch for the title. Bron Breakker ends up pulling out the win. Somehow, some way, he was able to get the strength, the inner strength, to get the win, to pull it off.
I know, I'm shocked Bron actually won this match. I thought Jey was going to come out on top on it.
Yeah. What's wrong, Vash? What's wrong?
Jacob, man. We're going to have conversations.
I'm not going to really taunt them, so kick all 3 of our asses at once. I'm not going to taunt them.
Look,
look. I like my ass the way it is, thank you.
Yeah. He's like that bear from SpongeBob, bro. He'll be all after your ass.
I'm just annoyed. Is that
he is the devil?
Jey, you didn't have to kick 2 super kicks to fucking the Tongas. All they were doing is just like, yeah, you got this, man. We're just here to support you. Just don't bother them. Why you had to instigate? Why did you have to start the problems? Solo even brought a shirt out. He said, yo, came here to support Jey. Main event. This guy got his own marketing and everything. Like, oh, fire. Love it. And even Jacob, our boy Solo said, yo, we're official. We have tickets. I'm like, where you got tickets? Why the fuck you dressed to work? Like, you literally came with a Ula Fala and everything. Like, Jacob get ready to do some super kicks and everything. And then...
It is the Halloween season, so...
The Tongas.
He is the tribal chief.
He had to fucking kick them. He had to, because then Solo had to come out, which Jacob did a beautiful... Oh, I'm sorry, not Jacob. Bron Breakker did a beautiful spear to Solo. Great sell and everything. Jey, like, you had to go around the ring just to do a Bron Breakker move, just to do a spear. And then fucking Jacob, man. Fucking Jacob, why? You don't love your tribal chief, man. He had to fucking do a super kick. He did a super kick to take out the living lights in the roof of fucking Jey Uso. So Bron Breakker had the opportunity to be like, all right, cool, I'm going to take this match, because Jacob didn't only fucking do a super kick. He also did a
Samoan
Samoan drop on the announce
okay.
table.
Mhm.
And Bron Breakker was happy. He was happy as a little camper. He's like, oh, I love this. Thank you for giving me a Christmas gift, Jacob. Even though they stare like eye to eye. I was telling the guys right before we started the show, it's like, oh, a lot of people say Bron Breakker is Jiren and Jacob Fatu is Super Brawly. And I'm like, I love that great comparison. Two people
Yeah.
are going to have great match in that type of Aurora or hockey. But fucking Jacob had to get in somebody else's business. But Jay had to start it. He instigated. As much as I'm mad, I have to tell Jay, you fuck up. You instigated. They was just there. They didn't even bother you first. And also, ref, why didn't you fucking stop the match? But no, like Joe or Wade Barrett said it in the announce table, they said that the security and everyone came to stop the match. Came to stop the bloodline, everything interrupting to continue and to kick off the Tonkas because even Wade Barrett or Joe, one of them said is that there has to be a winner. Adam Pierce said that there has to be a winner for tonight. But then I'm like, why the fuck didn't you come out and stop the bloodline sooner?
Who?
Well, you know,
So
the
yeah,
super kick happened. That's why.
man.
I mean, so with like a lot of that stuff, I mean, I seriously doubt the bloodline was actually there to support Jay.
Oh yeah,
'cause,
for
I mean,
sure,
he-
100%. Like
he
Jay,
did-
look, Jay knows. I
Yeah.
get it, but it's like, come on, like they didn't even start shit, and for him to start it, like, alright, cool. Of course, now they're gonna jump in and join.
Actually,
And also, it's like,
And actually, yeah.
who didn't start shit?
the bloodline, they didn't start anything yet at that moment. They was just,
Mhm.
they was trying to use their presence to intimidate Jay, which I totally get. But Jay took the hook and bait. He literally took the hook and bait and had to start
Yeah.
doing the super kicks and throwing them down.
To be fair, Jay set himself up on Friday
Oh, he did. He did.
because he
Yeah.
came out there on his own will. He could have just
Yep.
did his own thing on Monday, forget whatever the fuck was going on with Jimmy and Roman. But he came there himself. He was talking to Solo. He was trying to reason with him. And then he started saying some shit to Jacob Fatu that night, saying that if he keeps looking at him a certain way, he's going to kick his ass. So, in a way, Jay pretty much set himself up to be in this whole entire situation, which is why a lot of people were predicting that tonight he was going to end up losing the title. And
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest, and we're probably going to be getting a repeat of this within 2 weeks on SmackDown when it comes to the tag team titles. Nobody's going to be
Mhm.
walking into Survivor Series with titles because you would think realistically after what happened with Jay tonight, if Jimmy, I would assume if Jimmy, Jay, Roman aren't going to let them walk away scot-free, so they're more than likely going to get fucked over as well. So it's kind of like, you fucked me over, I screwed you over. So you're going to have new tag team champions beginning of the week, but I'm not really surprised this happened to Jay because they have to give Jay a legitimate reason to really go after the bloodline. And this reason alone, it doesn't involve Jimmy and it doesn't involve Roman. So it's not like it's getting forced to be a Jimmy or Roman reason or both of them. Now Jay's purposely doing something on his own behalf because now he's pissed at Solo and everybody for taking part in their match when they didn't need to be there. So this just pushes him to insert himself in there. And then from that point on, you could start slowly building that relationship with Roman and Jimmy again to mold it to how it was before. And they do have enough time to do this because Survivor Series is towards the end of the month on the 23rd. So they have plenty of time to do this. So I'm happy that they're doing it now. But you had to give Jay a reason to get involved. Now you got your reason instead of Jay coming. Because I'll be honest, like somebody also brought something else. Because I know people were saying, why didn't Jimmy show up? Why didn't Roman show up?
I didn't expect Roman. I expected more
No,
Jimmy.
I'm gonna say it like this. I'm actually happy. I didn't expect Roman either. But I'm actually happy that Roman or Jimmy didn't show up, because the sort of body language that Jey was giving them for that time that he saw them, he didn't want to associate with them at all. So them Jimmy coming back again, and it's kind of like, dude, just get the fuck out of my face at this point. Like, I already told you no, why are you here? And in a way, Jey might think, oh, this dude's here again trying to mess with me. So now you got all these different kinds of things hitting him at once. So I'm honestly happy. No, neither of them got involved. I even brought this up with Watkins on Friday when we were talking about it. I'm also glad that Paul Heyman isn't involved guiding everyone, because at least it gives them that, at least it puts them in a position to actually struggle and try to figure out how they're going to coordinate everything, which I find to be very good when it comes to character growth for them. So with Jimmy not being there tonight, it actually gives something to Jey. And also, just to reply to some people that are saying, why didn't Roman show up? I mean, look how Friday ended.
Again,
Jey didn't even show up. So you're expecting Roman to show up? I mean, come on here. And they're also probably trying. Actually, another thing is they're probably trying to sell what happened on Friday too, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and plus, like, with Jimmy, I can kind of imagine he's in the mindset, like, with Roman, it's different. Roman's just like, okay, Jey doesn't want anything with us. It's like, no, I don't want anything to do with him. He doesn't need my help. Fine, whatever. But like with Jimmy, it's like, okay, I would help you, but I respect you, brother. I respect that you just don't want anything to do with us. Then fine, whatever. Because that's the thing. We're making them, like, this is part of their face turn. This is part of them being like the good guys and all that now. So it's like, okay, it's not like an immediate, like, because that's what we would have gotten in the old regime. It would have been like, oh, we're immediately baby faces. Great. Now we're just friends with everybody. It's just like, well, no, because like you did a lot of messed up things when you guys were heels. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
so it's like,
you gotta,
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so it's like, there's a lot of nuances that go into the bloodline returning. And even if Jey does join the team, I can still see him being like very reserved about it. Like, he might make up with Jimmy. He might make up with Jimmy, like, just like what Drop was saying about like the tag team thing. I could see that being like the makeup for the Usos. Like, that could be the big night where the Usos come back. But there's still going to be a lot of reservation when it comes to Roman. And that I don't think it's going to happen until like the actual War Games match, where something will happen. Where like a big tag team, double team, triple team, whatever move happens, and then Jay's just like, let's get Usi, cuz, like, shit like that, so
I could definitely
but
see
one
that.
thing.
Also, the question is,
ahead.
where's Sammy in that aspect? Like, we have not seen him this week or last week. So with Sammy, he's been on the sideline. He's most likely 100% appearing next Monday, and we're going to see some interaction with Jey, because with this Friday of SmackDown, we don't know what's going to lead up to right now, because the only person that has not been never mind, both Jimmy and Roman got hurt last week, so they might be out this coming Friday.
I mean, I think they're just trying to sell the effects over the weekend, because I'll admit it would be kind of silly for them just to appear on Monday, especially if it was Jimmy showing up based on what happened. I mean, you got to sell.
And plus, he did get jumped. Bro got jumped, blood coming out of his mouth. Yeah, you're right.
Like that's like Drew McIntyre showing up like the Monday after Punk was on, after what happened at Hell in a Cell. You got to you got to sell the effects after what happened. So it's like, I like how they're doing this, because you got to look at it from a realistic approach, where it's like, if you were witnessing this in real life when it came to a relationship between certain people that had a falling off, like Roman and Jey did, you would expect it to take some time to really get to that point where you can be on the same page, you could actually feel comfortable talking to one another and stuff like that. Because I also brought this up to Watkins as well, is when Roman and Jey like finally make up again, either it's a handshake, a hug, whatever the case may be, as much as Jimmy and Jey getting together again would be a nice feel-good moment, Jey and Roman's would probably get the bigger pop, just based on day one to all the way up until now, just based on the sort of history that they had when it comes to the story overall, building to how ruthless Roman was back then to looking at the kind of figure Roman is now, and seeing them come together, Roman apologizing, actually being truthful, showing that he means it. It would be like a really good feel moment, which is something that I am really looking forward to. And I honestly just rather, I mean, like, and the whole thing with Jey Uso, and I felt like this was going to happen anyway, and I remember bringing it up, is that with Jey Uso winning his singles championship, that was meant to be a moment. And we tend to have a lot of moments like that within wrestling where it's like this certain superstar gets the title. I mean, you could say the exact same thing about DIY. DIY won those tag titles. It was a really good moment based on the history of when they won those titles, but then they end up losing it to the Bloodline like a week or two later. They sometimes do that to create moments, to have like that good feel moment, so you can look back at it and be like, wow, you know, that was a really good moment. But jumping into this whole thing like we discussed before, you don't really need any titles on the line when it comes to this Bloodline story, because we moved past that. And it's nice to show some growth, especially Roman not trying to grab at Cody right away. Like, it's actually nice to see that, okay, you know, we could actually have a very, we could actually have a story that we could really sink our teeth into without worrying about who's champion or who has a title on their shoulders or not, because it's just bigger than that now. Like, it's like almost like it's almost like the, what was it, the Ula Fala?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's the prize.
That's pretty much. Yeah, that's the prize.
Yeah.
It's pretty much. So it's like they already have something they're fighting with Roman's case.
And
so,
like this kind of reminds me. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, like, I have no issues with this because it makes sense. I understand why some people are upset, but looking at it from a story perspective, especially if you erased whatever happened on Friday, I can understand, like, okay, maybe he could have had a chance of winning if he didn't really do anything. But they were obviously setting this up for a reason, because you can't really have Jey getting away scot-free, having a clean win on Friday, and then, I mean, on Monday, and just heading into the next SmackDown, whatever, talking to Roman stuff with a title over his shoulders. Like, it just wouldn't really make sense just to, like, talk shit, get away scot-free. It just doesn't work like that, especially in the...
And, like, I'm glad you brought up the thing...
WWE, there's consequences.
I was just going to say a quick line that I remember from tonight, how I knew Joe was going to lose, because I think it was Joe was giving the damn fucking statistics. Like, hey, guys, don't remember, we're right here in Philly tonight, where across the street we had Roman Reigns lose his title with Cody Rhodes back in WrestleMania this year. And I'm like, fuck. So kind of, I'm like, Roman's, he defended his title, and also he's a Samoan. Then we had another Samoan defending his title in Philly. He's definitely gonna lose tonight against Bron Breakker. I'm like, yep, definitely. Like, you just leading up with these things. Like once I heard it, it's like I knew he was gonna win. I just didn't want to accept it, because I'm a big, like, as a fan, I'm a big Jey fan. As a critic, I'm a big Jey fan. But for story purposes, I totally understand it. But as a fan, it's like I wouldn't have wanted the bloodlines to intertwine. But Jey put himself in that situation because of Friday night. Like, my dude, if you didn't go Friday night and start, like, to stir the problem, like, you would have not been stressed until Monday. But you instigated the fucking problem. You even spoke to the fucking werewolf.
Way to pull a Drew McIntyre there. Like, basically shoot yourself
like,
in the foot.
And it's like, the thing is, I'm glad you brought that up when it comes from, like, a fan's perspective and a critic's perspective, because when we do the show like this, I try to look at it from a fair point of view, because if I let the inner fan of me out, I'm obviously not going to want to follow the storylines, because I want things done a certain way that I want to see it done. So that's why I try to look at it from a logical point of view when it comes to the sort of presentation that they're showing on the shows. So it gives me an idea of, like, okay, this is the road we're going to keep going down until we eventually, you know, find that pumpkin patch where all the pumpkins are and stuff like that. Like, this is pretty much what they're telling us that the story is going down. So it can't be like, oh, Jay should have held the title. Would have looked cool if he came into the bloodline as an improved man, stuff like that. Still had the
That's what I
title all the way
wanted
through.
as a fan. I would have been
But
dope.
the
But story
yeah,
purposes,
as a
I get
fan,
it.
Yeah, but as story purposes, that would be ass. I was like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
really make sense just based on everything going on. You have all these people getting fucked over left and right, and then Jay's fine. It just wouldn't really make sense if he has a title. That's why I try to separate the fan thing, because I want to look at it from a critic's point of view. And when I talk about certain things, I try to look at it from their perspective of like, okay, this is what they're trying to tell the audience. This is the sort of story that they're trying to tell. There's obviously has to be obstacles along the way that Jay and everybody else needs to climb. It's not going to be an easy route to follow. I mean, we've known this for a while now when it comes to the bloodline. Nothing's easy. You're not going to get away scot-free.
No, not at all. And like, yeah, because if you don't kind of separate the critic with the fan, then you end up doing a whole rant about how Ilya Dragunov and Gunther should have happened in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament.
Yeah.
But that's besides the damn
Oh
point.
yes. I remember Walker being
should
angry.
actually,
Well,
Which
like-
understandable
so-
in that aspect of what you're saying,
yeah.
Drop. Like understand as a fan, I would have liked Jay to come in to be like, yo,
I know.
look what my improvement a year.
and I totally
look
get
what
it,
I've
too.
done.
Yeah.
Like, hey Roman, look what I could do without you. I did it on my own thing. But
mean-
at the same time, you coming back to his family still because look what happened from this past Friday when Roman said, I'm proud of you, Jay. So it shows so not that he lost the title, which understatement, the bloodline got involved. So Roman can't really be too mad when Jacob did a high super kick and Samoan drop. So Roman can be like, oh, look at Jay, look, you really can't do things on your own.
I mean-
Roman should understand because he just got his ass kicked by 4 of them this past
And
Friday. So I get it, but I'm like, fuck, as a fan,
Now
I
that
still
I,
yeet
now
him.
that- yeah. Now that I think about it, you kind of did get that actually. Like when Jay came back and came in contact with Roman again, you got that acknowledgement from Roman showing that basically Jay has improved. He was able to accomplish something outside of the bloodline. So you still had that moment where they acknowledged
right.
it, that
You're
it did
right.
happen. That's why you have that whole dialogue of Roman saying that he's proud of him and stuff. It's showing that character progression from Roman, showing that he's actually taking some time to actually pull Jay to the side and say that to him, because Roman could have just let him walk away scot-free, but he actually
right.
acknowledges. So you at least have that moment there to look back on. And
See,
and just to
I'm
throw
still-
Sammy in here.
Mhm. See, I was just gonna say, I'm still kind of reserved on that part with Roman, because like, if it was truly Roman saying that to Jay, he wouldn't have gotten a push from Jimmy to do it. Like, it would have been Roman being like that. Like, that's why like it almost felt like almost like empty words. Like there was a hint of like truth in there, but it was more of Roman being like, I kind of have to say this because like I kind of need him on my side. So hey, we're proud of like things like that. So like it was almost like a half like a half compliment kind of thing. But yeah, but we had talked about that Friday. So
yeah, because it felt like any type
I
of any type of sibling or parent telling you I'm proud of you, or any type of uncle like saying that, but you'd be like, they're saying it because they're family and they're older, so like, hey, you did good on your own, but if you're with me still, we can do more. So like it kind of felt like that.
I get that. No, I get that. Like basically, what I'm trying to say is basically baby steps getting to that actual moment where you actually see that Roman give the shit. At least it's some sort of progression where it's like, yes, it's a little forced because he's in a situation that's keeps kicking him off the curb, but at least it's just a little something to show that we're gonna get there. And like the same thing with Sammy, and I just want to bring it up because we're pretty much brainstorming what's going to be happening next. That's the whole point of talking about this segment. Sammy, more than likely, since they have nothing involved with him, they're pretty much telling you, without even telling you, that Sammy's going to get involved. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Sammy does come back next week, and it's probably going to be a similar situation with Jay, where it's going to take some time to really get to that moment with Roman and Jimmy, especially looking at all of the history that basically Sammy was there with them when they were like red hot when the bloodline first started off this whole entire story. So he's gonna be in a similar situation with Jey, where you're gonna have to really push him to really want to be there and do stuff. Obviously, he's gonna be there for Jey because him and Jey are very close and everything like that. So he's gonna able to, talk to him, try to help him out with whatever situation he's in. But you're definitely gonna have to get some sort of progression when it comes with Sammy as well. That's what's gonna be very interesting to see how they're gonna be building with that. So that's definitely my prediction for next week. Sammy, if he's not there next week, I'd be surprised. You gotta throw him in there now. Now that Jey is just fusing and he needs somebody to really cool him off or talk to, and Sammy's usually the best person to do that. I could see Sammy coming back next week, hopefully.
Well, like that's the thing, because like Sammy's basically going to be playing the role that Jimmy's playing for Roman right now, being like the guy to kind of like ground him a little bit, get him level-headed a bit, but like the two sides are still going to be like at odds, but there's going to be that one final like odd man out that's going to bring them all back together, and it's going to be Paul Heyman. When he eventually returns, he's going to be the one to be like the peacekeeper, the true wise man, the guy that was able to keep them all together through all of this. The guy who had to go through hell because of Solo and all that. Like, Jimmy got beaten down and Roman was doing whatever BS and all that, but like Heyman really got the worst of it. Like he was abused, like mentally, physically, emotionally, and then eventually tossed aside like yesterday's garbage and all that. So like him coming back is going to be the final like gravity to pull everybody back in. And man, it's just going to be so beautiful when like I just keep picturing in my head like when we finally get like the OG bloodline entrance for War Games, because remember how Sammy would just kind of go stupid bonkers during the entrance, where he's just like rocking out like I can't wait for that to happen, man.
To see this vision of Sammy and everything, and I can't wait to see how he breaks them this time around, as where they're all baby faces. So I can't wait to see how Sammy will break them in character. Like, hey guys, let's get some Uzi, and I'm like, yes, break them. Get them to smile. Get them to break. It'll be one of the best interesting parts.
See is Roman yeeting. That's going to be the big thing.
That's going to be the big one. That's going to... Man, getting that Superman yeet. Like, oh my gosh. I need it. Inject it into my veins.
We might be seeing two spears happening at the same time. Roman doing a spear and Jey doing a spear.
Why not 4? Get Jimmy and Sammy involved.
Oh
you know
my
what?
God,
Give me 5. Let Paul Heyman do a spear. Let Paul Heyman spear Tonga Loa. I'm sure he could do that.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he can.
That would be an interesting spot if that happens, just to see Tonga Loa. But fuck Bron Breakker.
So that was mainly the story of the match. But let's talk about the match itself a little bit, because like Bron Breakker was a part of all of this, and we haven't really mentioned too much of him in here.
I do want to take so
Jey and Bron do have some good chemistry with each other. You know, they are like a good... I mean, if we're going to go like Dragon Ball wise with this, I don't really want to... They're like... I could see like a Goku TN kind of thing with them. Just in a way. That's like the first thing that came into my mind, though. Maybe not TN. Maybe more like a... I don't want to say Yamcha, but whatever. That's besides the point. They are really good rivals, though, for each other. Because, like, you have Braun with the strength, with the power slams, with the... Okay. He did one move on the apron, like, on the hardest part of the apron. It was like this back suplex that... like went to his almost like a backbreaker, like on his knees, but like Braun lands on his back on the hardest part of the ring. And at first you're just like, oh, that's the hardest part of the ring. I remember because commentaries told me that 10 billion times. But then like Braun just gets up like it's nothing. I'm like, oh, you're a beast. You're a beast, dude. All right. Yeah, you take that apron shot. But like that shot was massive. But like yeah, so you have Braun with his strength, with the suplexes, with the power moves and all that, but then you have Jey again with the speed, with the super kicks, with the the dancing
Can't forget
freaking
about that
uppercut thing.
Frankensteiner.
And
Forget about
oh,
the
dude, Frankensteiners are so
Frankensteiner
good.
on the top rope.
Oh,
Which one was
Everybody
that?
they are
Which
so,
one?
he's a monster, man.
I don't
It's
remember
pretty
that
much
one.
Monster.
it's pretty much where you have your opponent next to the rope, the top rope,
Mm.
and then you run towards them and you use your feet to pretty much like flip them back on the mat.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's
It's something
Almost,
something
almost
that
like
you-
almost like a
Let that move
Hurricane
go.
Rana.
okay.
Yeah, it's almost like a Hurricane Rana, pretty much.
I've seen that move.
Yeah.
I have seen that
Yeah.
move from Bron Breakker done before. I just didn't remember the
Oh,
name of
yeah.
it, but I appreciate the
Yeah.
explanation. The moveset, great. The match, as much as I could shit on Bron Breakker, I would love to have you in the show to ever interview Bron Breakker respectfully. I'm just emotionally upset as a fan, but critically speaking, the match was great. You guys had a good round 2 match, I would say. If there's a round 3 in the future for Jey to get back his belt, I would love to see it in the future. But for this match alone,
Yeah. I was gonna say, Jungle Boys in the chat says, "Cry me a river."
What?
I don't see a Jungle
in
Boy.
the chat.
I'm looking at
It
it.
was a joke.
Ah.
It was a joke.
Ah,
If you know
copy.
the history.
I was like, wait, what?
It totally went over my head. Over my head.
Oh
But
my god!
like Bron Breakker, he did some cool moves. Jey played it off very well as well. I think in the beginning of the match, I think like around 9:40 to 9:50, Bron Breakker had the upper hand in the match. Like Jey was being thrown around like a rag doll, and there was one time that Bron Breakker could have pinned him, but then he decided not to and start to do some push-ups instead. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the side real quick, do some push-ups, pop, pop, pop. And when I saw the time, it was like 9:52. Once I saw that happen, I'm like, oh, we're about to get the bloodline involved the next minute or two. And then boom, they show up. I was like, yep, it was bound to happen. It played it, keep a number. But overall, the match was good. Jey doing the frog splash is always, sorry, not the frog. The Uso splash are always a little nice view to see happening because the camera angle really makes like a nice spot to see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just remembered this too, and I meant to bring this up as we were talking about like the story with everything, but do keep in mind, like I like this touch too with it, where Braun was. They like to call it the super spear, which fine, whatever. I prefer my overhead spear.
Back and forth, and then you...
It was the one where he was outside.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about where he runs out and hits it?
Yeah. So like Braun goes for it.
That was a super spirit, is what they call.
I mean, that might have been. I don't know. They kept saying super spear all night, so I'm just like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so it was the one when they were outside, and he hit Solo with it. So like, really nice touch here where they have Solo like push Jey out of the way and take the spear. Like that shows that Solo he's not completely heartless. He does still care about his family. Like that's why like there could have been some sort of like play where it's just like, okay, yeah, maybe we are here to help you. You know, if you accept our help, then maybe but like that at least showed to me that it's like, okay,
Jey started it because he instigated because of Solo. He pushed Jey out, so he's like, look, brother, I got you. But also, Jey had to instigate it.
You also can't forget, since you're bringing up that moment walking, you also can't forget the stare down that we had too between Bron Breakker.
Oh my god! Oh,
actually,
look,
you know what I was thinking?
I'm not gonna be too graphic with what that stare down did to me, but God,
I'm
just
guessing you yeeted.
Oh, I need it. I need that Jiren versus Broly match.
You know what I was
immediately.
Thinking, I was thinking in the near future because I was thinking about it for a long time. So we normally stream on Discord, guys. We usually in a chat talking about the shows and stuff. That soundboard would come in handy when we want to reflect on certain things. Like we can come up with an idea of what we want for certain sounds and use it in the shows. It actually makes some good entertainment.
Yes.
So if we were to describe something like that, it'd be nice to do.
But Bron
He's like,
Breakker,
actually, wait. This is the best thing to describe how Watkins felt. Oh yes.
Yeah.
So
I- exactly. Oh my god. Oh my god, like Braun just turned around, like you hear the crowd freaking out even before the stare down because they know what's gonna happen. They can feel it. The aura, the hockey, the sheer unmitigated key energy bursting out of these two gentlemen. Like Bron Breakker's like, oh, I've been through a tournament of power for about 40 minutes, and freaking Jacob Broly Fatu over there is just like, he said Kakarot, and it's just like, oh, they're both at 100% pissed off right now. This is gonna be yeet. Like, oh, I can't even English right because that's how like I want that Triple H, or
Apparently
you
I'm low
know,
on this
sometime
stream.
give me.
I knew that once I saw that scene, I knew Watkins was at home yeeting in the couch. He was like, "This is amazing. I want this more."
Oh, yeah, it's good.
I want it. I need it.
Which, look, as a fan, I'm excited for it. Savannah, I'm in pain. I'm hurt. Come back to me next Monday.
Yeah.
I'll probably feel better and more hype about this.
Possibly, maybe, but I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to add for our IC title match competition that we had here?
The only thing I could really say is Bron Breakker's next direction, because I know what the final destination is. I just don't know what comes in between, because I highly doubt we're going to be getting another match between the two. So
same here.
What do you think
even
is
if we
next for
do,
Bron Breakker? You had to make a quick little speculation.
I mean, it depends. Are they going to keep him heel or face? Because I know they had like that little moment a couple weeks ago. Even tonight too. Like Braun was like, you know, I respect Jey, blah blah blah, but that title's mine. Blah blah blah. It's like he's in this tweener stage, which you know it's fine to be a tweener and all that. But like, I mean, next, I mean, honestly, hear me out on this one. Feed Rey Mysterio to him. Like, that would be something fun. Like, give him, like, a former world champion to devour and just go over and all that, and that should be fine.
Yeah, that would work. But yeah, that's all my...
Chat's saying that you're low, Drop, that they can't hear you. That's weird. Yeah.
Can you let me know on...
cool.
We should be good.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm listening back to the stream. I do sound low.
Interesting.
I checked my settings too. It's not my normal settings where I like keeping my volume so it doesn't get like too out of control. So.
All right, but I'm gonna raise it on OBS then. But if that's the case, I just raise it on OBS a bit. Oh, Gucci and Diane.
Yep. Cool. So.
But one of short news that we're about to talk about.
Okay. Well, did you have a prediction of where Braun might be going, or
no?
No. Okay.
I'm gonna say the safe bet would probably be something that you're saying. Give him a little feud to deal with or whatever, a Rey Mysterio or something. I was thinking Bronson Reed in the back of my head, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to do that because I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, perfect. Well, you know, before we move on for like the rest of the show, we did have something like really, really big happen today. So news came out like a few hours before Raw that Samantha Irvin was stepping down from ring announcing. She wasn't going to be on Raw anymore. She's going to move on with her life. She's not going to AEW. So Ricochet assured all you tribalistic people out there that she wasn't jumping ship. So it's just like, okay, well, who's going to fill the void for Samantha Irvin? And then it came out that Lilian Garcia is going to be returning full-time as a ring announcer. So this is interesting because, like, on one hand, it's Lilian Garcia. She's a legendary ring announcer, all that stuff. She was part of my childhood growing up. I'm sure with the other two here in the call as well. She was a big part of that. I do have reservations though, because so her style of ring announcing is very, I don't want to say casual, it's kind of laid back, almost reserved in a way. And we've reached a point with like the product, with like, you know, WWE product, AEW product, Ring of Honor product, whatever. We've reached this point where it's like the ring announcers are a little more energetic and they have a little bit more maybe bass, or like they just have a little bit more to their voices and their overall projection.
Mm-hmm.
And Lilian Garcia, as good as she is, I don't think she really measures up to what the product needs now. And I mean, that could always change with time and all that, but like, that's my only reservation with this. But that could also just be a me thing. I don't know. But I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. How you guys feeling about Lilian Garcia coming back full time as a ring announcer? And of course, Samantha's leaving.
If you don't mind for me to go first, because I have some quick thoughts, is that for Samantha, it just came out out of the blue. It just came out of the blue. It got announced, I think, around 3 p.m. today, earlier on a Monday afternoon. That Samantha will be leaving. She has a great appreciation for the fans, for the universe, etc. But then I thought she would have at least be gone after tonight, like her do her last show, come to work, do her thing. But then her not to appear tonight and not even come out, it just seems very questioning. It's like, okay, what's the issue? Why did you just leave in a random Monday weekend? And was this something planned? Mm-hmm. And you just guys had to kind of fast forward instead of doing it much later. So I hope we hear some news in the future. Not that we need to, but it's just for fans that just fell right out of the blue. It's just like, oh, we just got shot in the foot, but why did we just get shot in the foot? Two, I have to agreed with Watkins. She also made a couple mistakes when she was doing the ring announcement by saying the LWO was doing the entrance, and she mentioned the tag team being with them, but they weren't there. Even for the entrance of Liv and Raquel, they also announced that it was Dominic Mysterio with them. Liliana, even the Wade Barrett and Joe joke about that, like, oh, I don't see Dominic, he's invincible, etc. So it felt a bit random, and like it still hit from childhood, from nostalgia, but not the good kind. It feels like old memories with a new product. It's like you're wearing old shoes in a new life, if that's the best type of reference I could give it right now. Or, you know, go to a new house and you have old shoes, or trying to start everything fresh and you still have old clothes trying to move forward. That's the best reference I could come up with.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, what about you, Drop? How did you feel about all this?
Personally, I'll be the oddball out of this, and probably doesn't happen much, but I can understand why she came off the way she did, because you got to keep in mind she hasn't done this in a long time, so she's probably has to take some time to fully adjust the new environment that she's in when it comes to how the product is. So with her being there longer as weeks go on, she could adjust to everything. She can get a sense of like, okay, this is what needs to be said. This is what needs to be done. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, they're talking to her about, you know, how they want everything presented, which is, you know, a common thing that they do, which is good that they cooperate with one another so they can make sure they have a good product. So when it came to the mistake she made, I can understand why people like, they did sound a little weird, but at the same time, I mean, I'm giving it a pass because, you know, it's almost like, I mean, and I'll give an example. It's like 4 years ago, I stopped content creation. I came back this year. I had some dust. I didn't really know how to edit things at first, and I had to really get that click again, so I knew how to really do things the way I did before. So I feel like as long as she's able to like take some time to really figure out where she is, she'll be fine. And when it came to the whole like Dominic thing, I was a little confused on that, I'll admit. But again, you know, I'm gonna let that slide. And with the whole LWO thing, I feel like the only thing it really was like the whole Dominic thing, because Ray and Dragon Lee came out with Zelina, so that's why she said LWO, because that is a part of their fraction. So that's why she phrased it that way. And at least she's good at.
But did she also mention Joaquin Io and the other dude? If I got his name, my apologies. But like she also mentioned the tag team being with them, so that's why I was a bit thrown off. Like,
Oh,
so like,
Oh, I
she
don't.
listed off the
I
whole-
didn't
I
even
didn't know
notice.
that.
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't even
Yeah, she
notice.
did.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. I mean, if she,
Okay.
I'm just going off based on what you're saying because if she just mentioned
Mhm.
Ray dragging Lean Zelina, I'd be like, you know what, that's the faction,
That's
so it makes sense
basically
why
all
she
they
phrased
do.
it that way. So it's like, I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
she probably would have said the same thing if it was just Ray Mysterio and Dragon Lee coming out there. It's like her saying if like Triple H came out there with Shawn, but you don't have Road Dogg out there or X-Pac, she'd probably just say Triple H, Shawn Michaels, DX, stuff like that. So it's like I don't know. I missed that little part. I didn't hear it, but again, it's like give her some time to adjust. I'm just gonna give her some time to adjust. Really, it didn't really bother. There was trust me, there was more things that I had questions for that bothered me than this. This was like probably the smallest thing, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and that's just my thing. Is just like it's mainly just her style of announcing and all that. So it's just like I hope she can adjust. Which I mean, she's a professional. She's a consummate professional. So she'll be fine, able to adjust, and hopefully she's able to. So
you can say the name's good with the LWO and all that, right? Because she is Hispanic herself.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's good.
So yeah. But I mean, look, with the whole thing with the Dom thing, Dom was out there. He was just really good with his John Cena impression. That's all it was.
He was being invincible. You can't see him. You didn't hear him either. So
I mean, to be fair, probably just building up to the whole retirement tour. So that's what it is. We got a couple questions for that little motherfucker later too.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Out of all this, congrats to congrats to Lilian Garcia to come back and do the announcing. We will welcome you with open arms. We hope to see you progress within the company and see where this goes into his new reignited ambitions to go back to announcing. Congrats to that, and to Samantha Irvin, whatever future holds for you, the best of luck, and just good luck into your endeavors, whatever it be. We will miss you. I will be sad to hear the undisputed world title of Cody Rhodes, and I would definitely, very shocking to say, I will miss hearing Chelsea Green.
You'll still hear it in the entrance music.
Oh yeah, but to actually hear it on a live show.
I get it.
I think even Chelsea Green even tweeted saying that I only wanted one WrestleMania moment like this, but now she's gone.
Oh yeah.
So sad days. All right. Well, back into our show and all that. So, really quickly, we're gonna touch on the World Heavyweight Title scene, which is very bare bones right now. There's not like. There's a few things going on here because I mean Gunther's obviously he's got his mind set on this crown jewel title. Great, we're gonna do all the build on SmackDown. Awesome, fantastic. But like the few seeds we have here for like his next contender, obviously there's Damian Priest who went up to him tonight and said, "Hey, he was just like, look, I'm basically done with the Judgment Day. I don't need." Well, he thinks he is. I'm basically done with the Judgment Day. I'm coming for the title when you're done with this crown jewel stuff. That was basically their interaction. So we've got Damian Priest as a possible contender, and then we might have Dominic Mysterio as a contender. And the only reason I would want Dom to face Gunther is so Gunther can smack the crap out of him so hard that the dirt just gets like thrown off of his lip. Cause man, that boy needs a shave.
It's very interesting
and shower.
In story-wise when it comes to the Judgment Day, because I know we're going to talk about the Liv and Raquel stuff in our later half of the show, but when it comes to this, when Carlito said that he's the fixer, which I'm like, when did he become Bob the Builder, my G? Like, since when did he just somehow become the fixer in this fucking creepy, weird family? And even Raquel asking, what do you do? He's like, I'm the fixer. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah, shout out to Bob the Builder.
a big shout out to Bob
Yep.
the Builder. Hell yeah, to our boy Carlitos. So he did that and told the Judgment Day that who's gonna take the world title was Dominic. But then Finn didn't like that idea, and then our big boy head, JD McDonough, he had to tell JD in the corner like, "Yo, tranquilo, tranquilo. You know, they're speaking nonsense. You're the one that's gonna go back for the world title." But I'm like,
Mhm.
JD, why are you telling him that you're gonna go back for the world title if Finn is not even going to Gunther or starting problems or even trying to go for the number one contender? But then he cares about Damien so much, like, yo, let the problems go. Drop the bag. It's like our boy fucking Carmelo has. Drop the fries in the bag. That's it. You drop your problems in the bag, throw it out the window. That's it. Move on, Finn. Damien, move on. Stop
Yeah.
trying to cling to a past
See-
that is not needed no more. So Finn, you are mad that our boy Damien is gonna go for a title. Well, guess what? How about you go for the number one contender as well, and maybe put up some, some money where the mouth is. You want to talk shit and you don't even defend your own tag titles for the. I think you're about to reach 100 days. So
They're in the same situation as the Bloodline right now with those fucking titles.
Yeah.
So-
Only worse. I will dare say
yeah, say
worse,
worse,
because
worse.
Yeah,
at least the
I will say
bloodline.
worse.
At least the bloodline
Yeah.
show up on the show
Yeah, they at least
with the
defend it.
titles. They didn't even have the titles on
Yeah.
them tonight.
Exactly.
Like,
So that's
Yeah.
what I'm mad about. So
You got-
how
yeah.
the fuck is it that Finn wants to say, "Oh, why are you saying Dom is
Yeah.
going for the title? Oh,
See,
why
here-
Damien wants to go for the title? Oh my god, he thinks I'm done." And Liv was like, "Look, you got your shit to deal with and everything." So I'm like, Damien, at least he went up to Gunther and spoke man to man, like, "Yo,
mhm.
you got your shit around you, go do your thing. But when you come back, you and me got business, and you don't like my business because I'm gonna come out and win as a champion." So at least Damien's putting his foot down and still being a main eventer. Happy about that. But Finn, don't talk shit when you don't got shit to back up.
Yeah.
That's why.
So my whole thought process on this, when it comes to the whole thing, like obviously we'll see how things play out with Gunther and Cody on Friday, so we can probably save
Yeah.
the discussion for that. Can't really dive into that much stuff. But like my whole issue with this whole Judgment Day story when it comes to Finn Balor and Damian Priest is the exact same way I phrased it before when it came to the whole Rhea and Liv story. If Rhea beats Liv, the story's over. No continuation. No point of no point of egging it on as long as you have the story's over. And the reason why I brought this up is because I feel like they messed up here when it came to that result at Bad Blood. Because realistically, you should have had Finn won that match. That way he could have some momentum under his belt. That way he could actually back up what he's saying and it actually makes sense. Because when it comes to Damien, it makes sense why he's going up to Gunther. He got a big win. He wants to capitalize on it. He wants to go up against Gunther. Okay, it makes sense. But the whole thing with Damien and Finn is that Damien beat Finn. What other story are you trying to tell here? Like, what is the bigger message that you're really trying to get out of this? Because we all know what's going to happen. You know, Damien might potentially get a match with Gunther or whatever the case may be. And then we see him screwing Damien out of the title again because, like he mentioned before, earlier in the show when we had that whole segment with the Judgment Day, where Finn Balor was saying how he didn't want Damian Priest to get close to the world title again. Like, he wants to do everything that he possibly can to avoid that from happening, which is exactly what he did at SummerSlam, which started this whole shebang to begin with. So I really don't know like what sort of direction they're going here. That there's a lot of loopholes around this. There's a lot of things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
That's why like I would have had Finn Balor go over, like I said, because at least the story would flow well, would make a lot more sense. But now everything's everywhere, and I'll be honest, like the whole thing with Judgment Day is ice cold right now. At least when it comes to that story between Finn and Damien, because at least with Rhea, even though like their last match was like lackluster, I will admit, as much as I loved both of them, the match was lackluster, but at least it gives Rhea a reason to keep going after Liv because she didn't get that win. It's not over. So it's kind of like, realistically, Priest should be like, you know what? Finn's in the past. I don't really need to worry about him anymore, but we're going to keep getting it. So maybe there's something I'm missing here, but based on what I'm seeing right here, it just, It's just a lot of loopholes here. And I'm honestly hoping what Triple H is doing, and we'll dive into this a little bit deeper when it comes to the matches that we had for the tag titles. I'm hoping what we're seeing on Friday in Raw, which is it's kind of funny how they're happening at the same time when it came to these tournaments. I'm hoping this is actually a way for them to revitalize the tag division. So hopefully they lose those titles off of that. And like I said, we'll talk about that later. But to me, I'm not really feeling the whole Damian and Finn thing anymore. Like, it had potential. It had a shitload of potential. There's a lot of story you could dive into. I just feel like it was just mixed up. It's like you had it's like you're writing an essay. You got like the 4 paragraphs and everything. You got your introduction, you got what you want to talk about in the middle, and then you got how you want to close it off. It sort of feels like you put that in a little scramble generator, if that's the best way for I don't know, I'm not sure how to else explain it. And you got the whole story. It's like you have the introduction in the middle, and you got the end in the beginning, and then what you're diving into to tell the stories all the way at the end. It's just all over the place.
I think I got a good example for you too. Basically, Finn and Damien's feud is basically like a hot pocket. So like when you heat up a hot pocket in the microwave, you know, you take your first bite, it's like, oh my god, this is hot. This is like lava. You kind of burn your tongue a little bit. Then you get to the middle part, and it's almost like it's ice cold, like almost like you got it out of the freezer. And you're just like, wait, I just put this in the microwave, and the first bite like burnt me, and now you're saying I'm basically eating ice now, and then it ends off being like fiery hot and all that. So it's like, that's kind of what this Damian and Finn feud has been. It's basically been a hot pocket, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I can help you too with where things might be going, because like I think we had a few clues here, because when Carlito went to Pierce to try to get Dom this match with Gunther, Pierce was just like, okay, well, he has to face a former world champion. And if Damian wants to earn his way, he's going to have to win him another match. So I'm saying we're going to be getting Dom versus Damian next week.
Oh,
and that might be when they cost Damian Priest. Because they might cost him that match. Okay.
I see what you're getting here, because he did say he was going to face a former world champion. And Damian Priest is a former world champion. Yeah,
exactly. And so that can start getting us back to, like, again, like we're in that middle part of the hot pocket where it's ice cold, but like just doing that can be like, oh wait, my tongue. Yeah. So, but that's just a route. That's just a theory, a wrestling theory. So, I mean, again, the world heavyweight title picture right now on Raw is kind of non-existent. Unlike with Cody and KO and all that, so not much really to go on with that. So we're just gonna transition. We're gonna move on over to maybe some possible, new contenders in the future with our mid-card stories. And one of the hottest ones right now that is definitely like burning my tongue. Like, this is like pizza right out of the oven coming out.
Oh yeah,
we had Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. They were supposed to have a face-to-face tonight, but 3 times in a row tonight, they both just like attack each other backstage. Poor security guards getting thrown and tossed everywhere. And we finally get a match like made official for Crown Jewel after all this chaos. But you know what? These 3 segments of them just fighting, and then I like the last 2 ones, because it's like you had Bronson going up to Pierce, and then you had Seth going up to Pierce being like, I want the match. And like then they both get attacked and all that. But like these segments were really just what we needed. We didn't need any talking, because we got the talking done, like, what was it, like last week with the pre-tape stuff. And like we didn't need any talking. We just needed more just ass kicking here, and that's what we got. And
so all we needed was the hands being thrown.
Exactly. Now, I'm surprised we're not getting a stipulation with this, or at least not yet. But I mean, I guess that makes sense with the first match being just a normal match, so
Yeah.
we can get that out of the way, because this feud does have longevity with it. I mean, yeah, it's mainly just it. The whole crux of this story is like Bronson Reed wanting to show out and like make a
Yeah.
name for himself,
He
and
wants to be a main
Rollins is
eventer.
Yeah.
exactly, and
And
Seth
just
Yeah.
Rollins is the best person for that.
Yeah, because I
Mhm.
believe Seth Rollins said it when after he kicked him in the first 2 minutes of the show starting. Seth couldn't wait. He hit him in the backstage, and then he said, "Go meet me at the ring," and start walking. The cameraman follow, head to the ring,
Yeah.
and he said, "Bronson Reed, you want to be famous? Word, I got you. I'll make you famous." I was like, "Oh, we're playing kayfabe, like we're talking about him getting over the crowd, but also being over
Yeah.
the audience in the wrestling
Yeah,
side."
so a mixture of both.
I love it. It threw me
Mhm.
off. I didn't expect that 4-4 break-in. It really threw me off in the best way possible. So, hearing that from Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed just coming out, like I felt Bronson Reed. For a big shout out to Chris Van Violet. He does great interviews with the wrestlers, and Bronson Reed said that he really enjoys being a heel, and his goal was to come back from WWE when came back a year or two and become a heel, but from the old regime that couldn't work. But now with the new one, is being successful, and I love how the translation of how his goal was. He loves Godzilla, he loves the King of Monsters stuff. So just to see that attitude of his, give that type of aurora around, just throwing down security guards, just manhandling them, even just grabbing Seth Rollins in the ring and everything, and backstage as well, showing that Bronson Reed had like 10 security guards and Seth has like 5 or 6 hours counting. Like just showing the different balance of strength and like how many more you need to hold by Bronson Reed is amazing. And I didn't really expect, and I love how Adam Pearce, I was waiting for him to say it during the third segment, but I think he said it after Carlitos. He said it, "I need a drink." I'm like, boy, after the Bronson Reed the third time, I would have said, "All right, you guys are getting your match. Now shut the fuck up. I'm tired of you. Go away." And then I need a drink, and then cut a commercial break.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting, because I love how, I think it was Captain Kelly. I think when it was the second time, how she said, "Yeah, Hannah Pierce, your show is starting very chaotic tonight," and I love how Hannah Pierce just goes with it like, "Yeah, it's the best way to start." I love how they're really owning up to that. So I really want to give a big shout out to the story, to the producer, how they're owning up to Raw being that Monday Night War type of vibe of how like it's always chaotic, like there's always something crazy happening backstage, the bloodline, like there's some chaos to be twisted in turn of events. But because of SmackDown, it's more proper because the Nick Out is in his style. So I love how each show is starting to get its own personality more, while things happen weeks and months later, more the progress and the improvements. And I can't wait how we continue to grow by next year with a 6-hour content a week.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, I know
Drop,
reports.
I know you had a lot to say about this drop.
So yes,
go ahead.
so that's my long, quick first impression of thoughts about
Yeah.
Bronson and Seth.
Yeah, so like when it comes to this whole thing between Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, it's the same thing I said about Candice LeRae on Friday, is that they're taking time to build new stars, which is always a good thing to do, because you want to make sure that there's people out there that you could rely on if a Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, etc., so on, isn't around. Let's say they're on vacation, out for injury. Knock on wood, we don't want that to happen. But at least you have other people to come to just in case you want to put them in a high-profile match, and people would believe in them because they know they have the potential to, tell a good story, put on a good match, etc., so on. So I feel like this is a star-making performance for Bronson Reed, and ever since Bronson Reed started going down this direction, it did wonders for his character. This is the best version of Bronson Reed, just like how this is the best version of Liv Morgan. The reason why I'm bringing her up is because she had a whole character change that skyrocketed her, and I feel like this could potentially do that with Bronson Reed. I'm hoping, because like Vash brought up in the interview, the best way to really use Bronson Reed, I mean, look at the man. You got to use your strength. That's how you can get far, and it makes sense for his character to really display the sort of characteristics to really show that, yeah, this is a big dude. and he could rip you to shreds just like Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla's just shooting out his breath, just completely disintegrating everything in his path. That's pretty much Bronson Reed. Whatever person he comes in contact with, they're gone instantly in a snap of a finger. So
yeah,
I really like how we're getting this match, because it's been a while since we've seen Seth Rollins in like a feud that had a little layers to it. Because the last thing Seth Rollins really did was around WrestleMania season. So this is nice that Seth Rollins is getting involved with a talent that he didn't really get involved with before. So you got something new to work with, something refreshing, something that we haven't really seen before. And I've always believed in Seth Rollins when it comes to these sort of situations, because he brought Omos to his best match. Not saying that Omos is Bronson Reed, because they're not even comparable. But Bronson Reed, I'm pretty sure he can bring him to a great match and really showcase what Bronson Reed is capable of. Really show how much of a monster he truly is. And that gets me excited for their match. Like, I like how all the chaos played out. I thought that was really nice. I mean, like I said, like you got, like we talked about before, no need for talking. We got that last week.
Yeah.
Throw a whole bunch of discussion in there. And I'm honestly hoping, whenever we get this match, I'm honestly hoping that they have, because it is next week, not this Saturday, next Saturday.
Yeah,
I'm honestly hoping they have Bronson Reed go over, because I feel like
agreed.
This does more for Bronson than it does for Seth. Seth's bulletproof.
Yeah.
If he loses, he's fine. Bronson Reed, you're in the process, like I mentioned to Candice, you're in the process of building a new star. You got to capitalize on it. Bronson Reed going over Seth Rollins, people look at it and be like, dude, he just went over Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is one of their top guys. Like, that's freaking wild. So I like how they have that sort of mindset in their head where it's like, okay, we could really do something with this guy. This guy could make us a lot of money based on how we utilize him. So I'm honestly really into it. I don't really have any issues with this. I personally feel like this is probably one of the highlights of Raw that I look forward to every single week ever since this whole Bronson Reed character turned into what it was. This is one of the things I tune into, is what's going on with Bronson Reed. Like, before Seth Rollins came back, I was always curious, who's his next target? What is he going to do next? How is he going to top what he did before? And he continued to do that. So I'm happy he's getting this light, because unfortunately, because of how things were in the past, he really wasn't able to really showcase what he was truly capable of. So I'm glad that Triple H brought him back and gave him a second chance, and he was able to do wonders, and he was able to actually put himself in the spotlight and actually show his talents. And I'm really happy about that.
And like to kind of put it.
No, a quick line is that this is a nice 6-8 months later from the original match was supposed to be back in March for the Elimination Chamber. So it's nice to see that 8 months later that they're having this feud coming back once again. So I'm very happy about that. So I just want to bring that forward to any fans or audience that probably did forget. It's a good reminder that Triple H, he didn't forget, and he's pushing Bronson Reed in the best way possible.
Yeah. And to just kind of put this into perspective, just how like Bronson Reed is projected, or I guess projected is a good word. How he's portrayed. Portrayed's the better word. How he's portrayed even outside of WWE and just like as a talent overall. This man went to Japan and beat Okada.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Just gonna throw that out there.
That's why he was getting. That's why he was getting hyped up earlier this year, because he's wondering where's he going when he came a free agent.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you have a talent like that, push him a little bit. Like, even if he's not going to win the world title now, again, it's all about building the stars and building the credible threats to these championships, so we can have something to go off of when we have those matches and all that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So I'm looking forward to the match. I know you guys are too. So we'll have to see just how the match plays out, and again, hopefully Bronson Reed goes over with that. But we have 3 other matches to talk about. All of them were tag team matches. So I'm glad tag teams are finally getting a little bit more of a shine on the weekly shows. I wish we would get more shine on them. on the PLEs, but hopefully that changes soon. Triple H, please,
Yeah.
please, please.
Yeah.
You have such a good talent
Yeah.
of tag teams. Use them, especially on your PLEs, because they put on such great matches. Look at Friday, but that was Friday. We had tonight. We had 2 tag team #1 contenders matches for this tag team tournament that we're doing. We're going to start off with the New Day versus AOP, which, we're kind of reigniting an old rivalry from like a month or 2 ago, so really not that old. But I mean, I thought
Wait.
the match was fine.
I have a question. Right before we talk about this match, did anybody see the poster that got promoted and marketed?
yeah.
Um,
What
because,
poster?
the poster
Oh,
of
dude.
AOP.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, I don't know. I think it was Kofi or Xavier reaction. No, I think it was Kofi. He said, did I sign up to the right tournament? Because it was the most genuine response, because I don't know if this was planned for the marketing team. For anybody that doesn't know, AOP, I forgot which one of the wrestlers, my apologies, but one of them got their heads into like a Star Wars type of Darth Vader type of look, or some type of assassin android type of head. Oh my god. Oh, what's that anime with the head, with the gun in the head? Oh,
Gunhead.
what's that anime? I don't remember.
I know which one you're talking about, but
I just
forgot
remember.
what-
I just remember the tip of my tongue. Fuck. But
Oh wait, is it like No Gun Life or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
give me
But
that.
yeah, anyways, that's beside the point.
Yes, correct. That besides the point, when it comes to the anime head, whatever anybody is, please write it down in the comment section below, because I don't remember and I'm not gonna look for it. But the marketing was so questionable of Kofi and Xavier asking what the fuck's going on. I was hoping when AOP came out, the character of the wrestler actually had a helmet like that, just to continue on the joke, because that would have been hilarious. That's one. 2, this match, I love that Kofi at the end was trying to help what happened afterwards. And I love how Xavier was like, nah, they fuck up, they did their own thing, we're gonna go away. And that storyline continues with the New Day. The match itself, I agree with Watkins. It felt like it was reigniting a feud that happened 2 months ago. So this match for me was like, even though the New Day should have not won, AOP should have won, but understanding the results makes sense. But AOP should have won, because they have not had a fucking W since March, April, May, or probably never.
And I think that's actually going to tie into what's happening after all of this, and with the feud after this, and kind of what happened after the match as well. But like sticking with the match first, like I'm actually kind of glad the New Day won, because I think this is leading towards that event. Like, because again, like now they have some sort of success, but there's gonna be something that's gonna like still drive that, like that wedge is still there between Kofi and Xavier, like we saw at the end of the match when they tried to go back and help R-Truth. Like there's still a bit of divide there, and even with the success, something's going to happen probably next week where they might end up losing then, or they actually win next week but then lose against the Judgment Day, which would also kind of suck. But that's besides the point as well. With that's just speculation. But like, the match itself though, like it was a good tag team match, because both teams are really good. It was just nice to see the New Day on the same page again, especially after the past like couple months of their story. So that was always nice to see. But like, the interesting part here though, at least with the story wise, so the first part of all this, the Miz comes out and he joins up with the Final Testament. He's talking to Karrion Kross, Scarlett, and like they're having a good old time until R-Truth comes out and starts beating up on the Miz. Now, how did you guys feel about the Miz coming out here and just, I guess, being buddy with Karrion Kross? And don't worry, everything I say here is leading towards something here at the end with this story that I think they're going to be telling.
Well, the R-Truth, I didn't expect. I didn't expect R-Truth to actually pop out and be like, "Yo, the Miz, you gave me hands last week. I'm gonna give you hands this week." I honestly didn't expect that one.
I mean, I'm kind of happy he. Well, the only thing I will say about Truth, and I've been very vocal about Truth recently, because I understand, back then with the little shenanigans he did is fun, but after a while it does get overplayed and it gets old and it's kind of hard to really get into it, at least for me. If it pops up and it makes sense, sure. But one of the things I will say that I do appreciate that Truth did do tonight was there really wasn't any joking matter. He pretty much got his revenge on what Miz did to him. He actually went up, attacked him, cost a match and everything to get that retaliation. So that's something I can appreciate that he did, because at least that showed like a little serious side of Truth. Like when push comes to shove, he can really throw down. So I can at least say that I appreciate he did that. There wasn't any funny shit when it came out of that. And to answer Watkins' question about like the Miz with Cross, I mean, I'm just kind of happy that Miz is doing something outside of Truth, because again, that played way too long. It shouldn't have gone as long as it did. But I'm just glad he's away from Truth. He can actually do something, and with him aligned with Klaus, as much as the Final Testament isn't really hitting, unfortunately, especially when you're bringing in Authors of Pain, you should really just be shooting for the moon at that point, because that's a very dominant tag team. I've seen how destructive they were back in NXT. I mean, those were the two guys you got in the ring with. You don't want to mess around with those guys. They just throw you around, eat you up. So it's like, they should be higher than they are. This honestly how things played out earlier in the year, because they actually, I believe they I think it was like New Year's Evil or something. No, that's an NXT thing. It was a New Year's special that they had where they came back, they returned, and that should have been the catalyst to really push Cross to the moon. That's what I was realistically thinking at that point. But again, it's kind of hard to really believe in it. But like the whole Miz thing, I'm just glad he's doing a little something. We'll see where it goes. See, this is one of the questions where I'll say we'll see where it goes, because when it comes with the Authors of Pain against the Wyatt Six, which we'll get into, I'm hoping, since there is some chemistry there when it comes to the sort of faction that both of them are, when it comes to just the characteristics that they share in a way, I could see it translating well depending on the direction, because at the same time you could show something to me, but it all depends on how we get there when it comes to that destination. Right. What route do I have to go down? What twists or turns am I gonna have to experience as I get there? So we're gonna have to wait and see how that goes. So I'll let that play out. And it's hard for me to say that with certain things, but I'll let that play out. I'll see where it goes. Because maybe this gives Cross a chance to finally get over. And I say that lightly, because realistically, he should be far up. Cross is a great promo. He should be far up than where he is now. So again, we'll see how that goes. That's all my thoughts on it. As the questions that was asked.
Yeah, and as Drop had mentioned, the Wyatt Six come out. They actually come out to save our truth. Xavier and Kofi didn't do it, so that's fine, whatever. And yeah, the Wyatt Six attack the Final Testament, and I think the biggest thing to point out here from this is that Paul Ellering took, I say a bump.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, he didn't really take like a choke slam or anything like that. It was just like a mandible claw and all that. But like, he took that by saving the Miz, and I'm gonna lead in with this with, I guess, this is gonna be a bit of just like, I guess, booking, like fantasy booking, I guess, or like where I might be seeing things going.
All right, talk to us.
I might be seeing the way I'm seeing this, because Cross and Miz were talking a lot during all this, and like I took a look at them, and like Miz's overall look, it's a much more darker look, and like we've had heel Miz before, where he's just like, oh, he's the arrogant prick, he's the Hollywood star and all that stuff. We've never really seen like dark, like I don't want to say like ministry kind of figure, but like we've never seen like dark master, I guess, kind of aspect of Miz. Like, but this might be part of it, and I think this is all going to lead to Paul Ellering taking AOP away from Cross because he's going to be like, look, being with you, Cross, is not working out, and like part of
No.
Cross's whole thing is like kind of turning people. And so, like, I think that's going to kind of like turn AOP away to kind of do their own thing because they kind of need to just do their own thing. Like,
Hopefully.
just have Paul Ellering, have just him be your manager and do your thing there because that's what worked in the past and that's
Yeah.
what can work and will work and does work. Now, that would leave Karrion Kross and Scarlett with The Miz. And I think teaming them up with The Miz and doing like this kind of dark triad kind of thing where it's like it's hard for me to really fully explain what's going on in my mind with it, but like I could see that very much benefiting Cross in a way because like one thing that I think Cross is missing because like yeah, he's a good promo and he's decent in the ring, but he does lack a certain charisma. And The Miz oozes charisma no matter what role you give him, you know, even in some of the babyface role stuff, like he does do pretty well with that. Like it's not as good as his heel stuff, but it's still pretty good. So with the way Miz is, I think that'll be a good coach for Cross to eventually get over. So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards all of this. And plus, it also kind of helps too because I think we had teases as well with the Wyatts and Xavier Woods.
Oh yeah.
So it's like them getting involved too here is kind of interesting too because it's kind of like turning with all that. And apparently my camera's fuzzy. I don't know. That might just be my light too because sometimes when I
could be the
zoom
light
in and all
glare.
that. So yeah, but anyways, that's just speculation, all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts with all that? Like,
Well, the
open
speculation that you're
floor, open
saying-
discussion.
Well, the speculation you're
Yeah.
saying, I like the process of it because, as of I'm the only person in this boat that I actually like Karrion Kross from months ago, even back when
Oh,
he
I don't
had,
dislike him.
his feud
Yeah.
With Bobby Lashley and everything. It's just that he hasn't
That,
gotten over
no.
the crowd, and it just sucks. I'm very disappointed that Karrion Kross couldn't do more. But it's what you see,
this has
Watkins,
been
with The Miz is a great dual partner. It's a great person to lead up with. So
Team
I'm very
backups,
excited, very happy to see The Miz. Not saying teaming up or faction, just working alongside with Karrion Kross and to help him get forward. And I will hope to see that because Karrion Kross has, we have seen clips of him in the house shows, and from the house show he looks like he's over with the crowd. Like the crowd likes him on the mic, even with his wife Scarlett there and everything. So it's just amazing to see.
Yeah.
And we're also gonna see probably Scarlett involved in the ring on live TV with Nikki Cross. So that'll also be
someone
very
that went toe to toe with Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yep, she
Go
went
look it
toe to
up.
toe with Jacob Fatu. But
Go look it up.
like,
She's oh my god, she's the Chile to his Broly. It all makes sense. It all ties into Dragon Ball. Oh, I love.
But to give my overall thoughts on like the whole Wyatt thing, we obviously know that the Wyatt Six go after people for a certain reason. They normally go after people that do wrong, especially when it comes to family. And one of the reasons why they're going after Miz is because of how he treated Truth. And then one of the reasons why they're going after the Final Testament is because of how they manipulate people and how they just cause like a lot of this destruction and just really try to get into people's heads that really push them off the edge to turn them into the people that they shouldn't, that they normally aren't, especially what you saw with like Xavier Woods. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of the stuff that Karrion Kross is feeding into his head is getting to him. That's why he prevented Kofi from going in there to save them. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if he's a potential target just based on how he's treating Kofi and what he's doing in that very situation.
And
So
I think what's great too with all this is the fact that Bo Dallas and Miz also have some history.
Yeah.
So I have a good feeling that that's going to really play into some of this as well.
Can you remind me in the audience, what does Bo Dallas and the Miz have interaction from before in the history?
So this was like what dropped like 2016, 17 time.
I
Where
remember.
Bo Dallas and was Curtis Axel, they were part of a tag team called the B Squad, and the only reason they were called that is because they were basically the B listers to Mrs. A list status as a Hollywood star.
Yeah, I forgot about this.
And there was one where there was one like promo that happened where like Miz got really frustrated at Bo Dallas and like slapped him like out like in the ring and all that, and Bo was like, I don't know if I'm really that cool with all this and all that, and I think they did end up breaking away from Miz and all that, but like the main thing is there's history there, you know, there's history with whatever was going on with them, and I think this also did lead to Bo just kind of disappearing, and I think he did leave the company a little bit. I'll have to go back and look at the timeline and all that. I think this was like one of the last things Bo did before leaving the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Overall,
so again,
I'm very excited
I'd
for the White Six to be involved, and I'm happy how Triple H booking of a 2-hour show has been good so far. It has not been great, but has been better than average, where the second week and the third week to me has been good in that department. Where in this week they also promoted that Ludwig versus Sheamus next week, and I love how White Six, they didn't appear last week, but they show vignettes of them during the segments of Karrion Kross and The Miz, and then this week they appear. So I love so far the pacing, because we haven't even seen the Pure Fusion Collective, so it's nice to see how Triple H knows what should be on the show, and 3 weeks straight without PFC.
Wow, no wonder the show is a little better tonight.
I knew that's why I wanted to mention it for that reason.
All right. Well, hey, let's go ahead and move on to our other tag team tournament match. We had Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee of the LWO taking on American Made, the Creed brothers, ending up eating another loss. Like,
I don't like this.
I don't know.
I don't like this. This is the most stupidest shit. American Made should have won. I agree with JD. A big shout out to JD. He said that thing. He said that if American Made is going to continue losing, they should just go to SmackDown, because they will probably do better in the mid card, something like that. Or even Chad Gable could help the U.S. title.
I mean, the tag division over there.
It's like, what the fuck? Why did American Made lose this? Like, as much as I love Dragon Lee, I said it last week on Monday Night Raw. Dragon Lee, I believe me and Drops was going back and forth during this conversation during the segment last week. But we said it. We all said that out of these two, American Made should win and Dragon Lee should lose. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, at least when it came to like the other tag match we talked about, at least it gave us a little something to work with rather than it just being something random. So I can at least be accepting with that. But when it came to this match itself, I mean, I feel like as much as Dragon Lee needs a push, because Rey Mysterio is fine. Again, established talent.
Yeah.
Losing doesn't affect them. But I just feel like since you're really trying to push this faction with Chad Gable and and with American Made, especially when it came to what we saw from because I was talking with Billy today. We're actually talking about American Made, and we were talking about Chad Gable, and we were saying that it kind of feels weird how Gable was like really hot in the beginning of the year. He was in a lot of big segments. That was basically one of the things that you always tuned into every single Raw to see what was happening next between him and Gable. I mean, not him and Gable, him and Otis. Yeah. So it's like, what happened to that? Because you could.
Well, we got a stare down tonight.
I miss him.
Yeah. But it's like no. But it's like even beyond that, it's like what really happened to that? Because you could have kept the momentum going without even involving Otis. You could have done something completely different, because the way that Chad Gable was going, I mean, that was the best version that we saw of Chad Gable when it came to this new character that he had. He was just very compelling when it came to the kind of story that was being told. I remember countless people saying, like, wow, this is like the one angle we get really excited about whenever we tune into Raw, because it was such a compelling story. It was one of the biggest things that was going on with Raw. And I was hoping they won this match to get that little momentum, even if they did potentially lose the match. At least I got some sort of momentum out of this. And like Vash brought up with JD's tweet, because I did see his tweet where he was mentioning how if American Made's going to continue to get pushed like this, just put them on SmackDown, have them involved in a new tag division, because it would be a new environment for them, and they would probably fit the vibe over there pretty easily. I mean, there's a lot of people that can go up against, like American Made versus DIY, American Made versus the Motor City Machine Guns, Legado del Fantasma, stuff like that. At least it would be a way where it's like, okay, you got American Made over there, got new matchups, and then you could have a potential match between Chad Gable and LA Knight. So it's like there was like a lot of stuff you could have like really did something with. So I don't really know what's going on with American Made, because Brutus Creed and Julius Creed, they both hit moonsaults together. Just talking about like the match itself, I feel like out of the two, this was probably the match I enjoyed the most out of the Contenders Tournament that we had tonight, because one of the spots that I love the most was like towards the end, where we had Julius Creed hit a moonsault, and then we saw Brutus Creed hit a moonsault. The best thing about the Creed brothers, they always have some of the best spots within the match. They just work so well together, and I just always love seeing them come out and just put on a clinic whenever they're involved with somebody. Like, you guys probably remember that match they had with DIY. That was a very good match earlier this year. God, yes. So it's like they have a lot of potential. And one of the things that I hate seeing is a tag team that has potential, or a singles wrestler that has so much potential. And American Made fits perfectly in this category, and they're not really getting pushed that well. So I'm kind of hoping that they get into something in the future, because I would hate for them to revitalize Chad Gable and align them with American and align them with him, just to see them fall flat. Like, I don't think they deserve that, especially like coming out of the Wyatt Six feud with them losing, and then you have them losing again. Like, what's the game plan here? Because as much as you would say, oh, he could just go back to Otis, at the same time, that's kind of saying, like, is that it? Is that all you could really come up with? Like, yes, there's a story there that I guess you could continue, because you did really like leave that sinking, like a sinking ship. But at the same time, it's like, is that all you can really think of? Like, and if you are digging deeper into that, you got to give American Made the win for that, so you could really big them up as like a hot tag team. So like, that's just my biggest gripe with this. It's like, sure, Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio can win, but it's like, at the same time, I don't know if I care.
Like that, and that's kind of the problem with having these two against each other. It's like, LWO kind of needed to win because they lose a lot. Like, they're just a bunch of.
We also did between the two would be LWO American Made. For me, American Made.
Actually, to be perfectly honest. And me and Watkins brought this up last week when we were talking about what's happening in next week's show. We both agreed on this, and I remember this because we really put it out there. Neither of them really... It's like the similar situation with the whole Cody and Gunther thing that I'm not a fan of. Neither of them really need a loss, because they both need a win to really make them look dominant. Like Dragon Lee, he's been... You bring him up like the hottest thing. He's like all the way down there. American Made, you're bringing him up to be this dominant faction. They're all the way down there. So when you look at both of them, it's like both of them need a win. So it's kind of hard to put them in a situation where it's like one has to go over. So it's like I can't really choose, because they both need to be pushed to actually mean something. If it was a nothing tag team that I didn't give a shit about and they went up against them or whatever, that's a different story. Like hypothetically, let's say for example, we reversed what we got tonight. Let's say for example, we had like American Made go up against New Day. I would probably say, okay, American Made goes over. You could create that more tension between the New Day and whatever's going on between Kofi and Xavier. And then you could have the Authors of Pain go over the Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, because I mean that's been sitting down there for so long.
Yeah.
So you got to really do something with it. And then you could add on top of that with the whole Wyatt Six thing if you really wanted to. So you got to look at both like factors. That's like one of my biggest gripes with WWE is when they do these matches. Sometimes they put a match together where it makes sense of who goes over, and then there's some matches they put together where it's like it doesn't really make sense because neither one could afford a loss.
Yeah, and it's one thing if you're trying to play into a story like that too.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing. It's like right now the story is the tournament, and it's like, you know, moving on in the tournament and like getting more wins for the tournament. It's like, okay, both of these teams again, they're both kind of losers. You know, they don't win a lot, even though they should be, and you're gonna put them against each other. It's just like, okay, it's basically like, oh, who's the better loser here? Like, who's the better bronze trophy for next week's triple threat?
I love that reference. Yes, who's the better loser? Which that hurts to say, but yes.
Yeah, and it does hurt to say because like Dragon Lee's really good.
Which
like,
that's the thing. As a match, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee has a great chemistry. As a match overall, they had a great chemistry. The flips and everything. Even trying to set up the ones, even trying to set up the 619. And the combo the Dragon Lee did was really dope. Like I'm not just like it's all great stuff. It's just that who's gonna be the more of a loser, which is understandable.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of agree with you too, Drop. Like out of the two like tag team tournament matches, this one was probably it was definitely the better match overall. Yeah, I thought. You know, I thought the action was really good. I mean, like Julius and Brutus, they can keep up with the cruiserweights, which is very impressive for men their height. And I mean another spot too that just it's gonna live rent free in my mind for a bit, just because I love feats of strength like this. It's where Julius got raped. Like he was on his knees and he was able to get Rey Mysterio up on a suplex, but like he held him there, and then like he just stood up from his knees to his feet. Like that is, I mean, again, like Ray's not like the biggest guy. Like Ray's not the biggest guy, but he's still like 200 something pounds.
I think the last time I heard Ray was 190 or 220 around there. I think the last time I remember.
Okay, so like median is like 210 then. That's still like 210 pounds. That's like upright, almost like dead weight, even though they're like balancing themselves. But like you still got to keep yourself balanced. Like that's the thing, man. Like say wrestling's fake and all that, but it's like you pull that off. You pull off like a stalling suplex like that, and then lift your own partner on top of them and flip them. Like go ahead and do that.
And plus, what Walken said is that he did it from his knee. Like it's easy to go, from like standing up to pick somebody up, even somebody big like John Cena has done with Mark Henry and other people. Like
you can do a lot.
It's like with the whole momentum, it's easy to do it. But he did it from the ground up on one knee, and anybody that has done any type of lifting, gym, work related, anything, to pick up something heavy and go while the process is, it's fucking tough. So I gotta give props to that. They train, they show their training on all that social media and everything. So all that is fucking amazing. Props to you again. American Made should have won, but this was a hard bracket. This was a hard type of booking that Triple H did. And if this was the best results, if this was the best choice you guys did, sure. But I wish we had an alternative, because it was a hard choice because both teams deserve it. But in my opinion, America made more because Dragon League should be a more of a individual player
Honestly, yeah.
instead of him teaming up with
Mhm.
fucking Ray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Vash, go ahead and check the chat real quick. I want you to check the chat real
Nope.
quick. After Weebs of the Ring said, "Nah," I want you to check those two comments really quick because you had a visitor. You had a visitor, I think.
But the anybody else has anything to say?
I do want
What
to
about
throw
Jerry?
this.
Jerry has something to say.
Nope.
He
I
wants
don't
to be
see-
part of the.
Nope. I
He
don't
wants
see
to be
nothing.
part of the show.
I do want to bring this up because this does fall into the whole tag team
Mhm.
conversations. I do want to take some time to talk about the War Raiders because they actually did
Mm.
have a little vignette that played,
Agreed.
and
Appreciate
they're
that.
pretty much talking, and they were pretty much talking about like how they wanted to get rid of their armor and head into the future without fear, pretty much just shedding off that skin that they had
Mhm.
before. Because I can't even begin to tell you how many different kinds of name changes that these guys had. I mean, Vince named them the Viking.
Experience.
Yeah, Vince named them the Viking Experience like it was some ride at like Disney World, and then it was like the Viking Raiders,
Yeah.
and that
Which
they
is
and they even said,
better. Like-
yeah, and they even said themselves that even with that name, it's in the past. So
Yeah.
I like how they're really showing their true colors now. We're actually getting who they truly are when it comes to the War
Mhm.
Raiders, because that's what they were known as in NXT. That's when they had that classic match at one of the NXT takeovers between it was them against Ricochet and Malachi Black. They put on a
That's
great match. That's
right.
one of the best tag matches that came out of that takeover event. So it's
Mhm.
like I'm glad that they're getting a good presentation, which is why I'm hoping personally, and I'm hoping it goes down this direction. I'm honestly hoping that they actually, I have a feeling they probably will be the contenders for those titles, and I honestly hope that they win them
Probably.
because
Yeah,
this
I
is
could see it.
because this is going off of what I said earlier when it comes to, it seems like Triple H is really trying to mold the tag division in a place
Mhm.
where it should be. So I feel like we're probably going to be getting like 2 new champions soon, with the Viking Raiders being the world champs on Monday, and then you got the Motor City Machine Guns being the tag team champs. I'm honestly hoping we're heading down that direction because neither
Yeah.
teams involved in those stories do not need those titles. So I'm honestly hoping that's what we're getting. So
Yeah.
just wanted to give some credit to them because I am very excited for them. They got the whole package deal. They got their name that they were known as. They got their theme from NXT that they had all those years ago. So I'm pretty confident that they're gonna have a good run. They're gonna get that presentation that they deserve, and I'm really happy about that.
I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm really happy that you brought that up. Great choice of acknowledging the War Raiders. I acknowledge them too, and I don't know shit about them from NXT in the run, but to see you talk very highly of them and Watkins as well, seeing the history of what they've done, and to see what they could do now as the new regime, and they have the full type of freedom of their trait, their personality, their name, and everything, and in their song now.
Mhm.
Congrats to them because I can't wait to see what they do as a tag team.
Mm.
Because I agree, the Viking Raiders, the whole outfits and everything, I wasn't a big fan of it. And like, I love their skill in the ring, really good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't really enjoy the outfit and the whole stigma of it. I wonder what happened to the girl that was with them. I don't remember her name.
Oh,
right now.
she's expecting her next child.
Yeah, so that's why she's off there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's in labor. Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's preggers.
Congratulations! I was unaware about that. So,
Yeah.
have a good baby, safe baby, and the whole thing's under the belt in that department. But for the Viking Raiders, War Raiders, I'm very excited for this and
Oh, yeah.
can't wait to see what's to come.
Yep.
Alright.
And for like the final thing we are going to talk about, there is a lot of discussion actually when it comes to the whole segue of how the story was being played out, because this actually ties into more to the Rhea story when it comes to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, but it also ties in with what we saw with Damage Control as well. So one of the things I do want to touch on first before we like fully dive into everything else is, because I feel like this definitely leads into the next part, was the video promo that we had with Raquel Rodriguez. And we'll talk about just her in general a little bit later when we get involved, when we talk about the match, because that doesn't really count right now. But we pretty much saw a video promo air for Raquel Rodriguez, which I actually like this, because I feel like this works out a lot better when it comes to showing a certain presentation that you want for a certain superstar on your show. Like when you want them to cut a promo when it comes to a little vignette that you filmed or whatever, so you can tell a story there. I kind of feel like that works out with certain people that need it, instead of just being out there in the middle of the ring with a microphone in your hand. I feel like this got the message out a lot better when it comes to her. But she pretty much cut a promo on Rhea Ripley, and she was telling her that, you know, as long as she's around, Rhea will never get her women's title back, which has been a discussion that we've talked about before, because obviously we know that Rhea failed getting her title back at Bad Blood, which again, that match was just all over the place. But obviously when it comes to a journey that you go on, you're going to eventually come across roadblocks, and Raquel is the roadblock for Rhea Ripley. So with her saying that, you know, as long as she's in the way, she's not going to get her title back, that's pretty much going to be Rhea Ripley's next obstacle that she's going to have to overcome. I would not be surprised in the slightest if this is a match announced at Saudi. But she continues saying that, you know, the only reason why Rhea rose to the top is because she's back, and the smartest thing Rhea can do is walk away, but Rhea won't do that. And we know Rhea to be, you know, very straightforward when it comes to the kind of decisions that she makes. Like, she's not afraid to go out there and really send a message. But Raquel just ended off the thing saying, you know, if Rhea won't end it, then she will. So that pretty much starts off like the whole Rhea and Liv story, because like I said, you know, it falls into a lot of things that we saw tonight. And I believe after that, if I'm not mistaken, that's when we saw the Sky Pirates appear on screen. I believe so.
Yeah, it was around that time, because they were like backstage with Jackie, and she was trying to get their thoughts on. Oh wait, no, I think it was after this. Oh no, it was after this, because before this they had shown last week with the tag title match. Yeah.
I think they actually showed the backstage segment after the Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. I
think so. Yeah.
Thing. Like I think it's like the very first thing that happened. Look, I believe they showed it.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and ignorant children of the aisles, we've reached the point of the night and the point of the show where I am going to be full on agenda here, because, you know, these two ladies that are standing behind me deserve the world.
Oh, trust me, I have a lot to say on that. Not nice things either.
They like when we get to the match, oh boy, boy,
God,
it's gonna be fun.
Eels was fucking phenomenal. She had like a good, beautiful 45 seconds.
And Vash is already in the discussion.
But I do no, of course, I do want to say Raquel this. Raquel, you can't be calling somebody fucking Chiquita 5 times in your damn fucking video package. Calling them Chiquita, woman. You calling them small, but then why the fuck are you getting thrown around and beat up by Rhea Ripley? She's so small. Your actions.
She at least stood up to a headbutt.
Oh yeah. But then after that, she still got knocked down and thrown around, and then got like cross leg twisted. But from like it just makes no fucking sense. Like, yo, Raquel, how in your promo you saying? Oye, chiquita, yo voy a matarte, usas nada para mí, ¿ok? No problema, chiquita, ¿ok, chiquita? Chiquita. I'm like,
but before we do get into the match, because I do want to bring this up first so we know, okay, how do we get there? We did see that Jackie Redmond was backstage with Damage Control, and they were pretty much talking to Jackie about how they're not done with Jade and Bianca. which again I'll give more thoughts on the match itself because that's when my full thoughts will come. We're just trying to get to the destination of where Liv and Raquel come into the picture. But they pretty much come up in this segment and they were pretty much just making everything about themselves, which is a common theme when it comes to Liv Morgan. She thinks she's all that. She likes to brag about herself. That's just how her character is. And that really set Io and Kyrie off. And they weren't really intimidated at all. Like, Kyrie didn't care how tall Raquel was. Kyrie looked at her straight in the face. Same with Io. They don't care. They're not afraid that you're taller than them or if you have a title around your waist or whatever. If they want to show you business, they'll show you business. But that's basically how we got there. They made everything about themselves, and that set them off. But this match itself, like I give a lot of credit when it comes to Damage Control, when it comes to the Sky Pirates. I'm just going to refer to them as the Sky Pirates. That's pretty much who they are without Dakota Kai there. But I always give them a lot of credit because they're fantastic. Kyrie's fantastic. Kind of wish that they brought her back a little bit better than how they did last year with her coming at Crown Jewel. I felt like they could have returned her a lot better. But I do like their presentation. You can easily get behind them, their faces. You want to love them anyway. You want to see them go places. So I'm always very happy to see them get spotlight throughout the show. Because whenever I see them, I'm like, okay, we're getting some screen time with Io and Kyrie. I can get on board with this. My biggest gripe with this, and I know they're doing it for a reason, but it really hurts me sometimes to see them get pushed around when it comes to I'll be honest with you, I do have some things to say about Raquel within this match itself, especially when it comes to the sort of direction that she's going and this whole muscle behind Liv Morgan. I'll just touch on it first, just because I know you guys want to share some thoughts on that already. It's kind of hard to take her seriously in that position because it kind of feels like she's lost where she is, and that could be because she's been away for so long, so she's trying to adjust to everything, which is perfectly fine at the end of the day. I get that. We talked about that with Lilian earlier. She's getting back into the game again and going to take some time to get into it, but that's different with Lilian because she hasn't been there for years. But with Raquel, it just seems like she can be a little directionless at times, if that makes any sense. Not saying anything bad about her, but it just seems like you're trying to build yourself as being this dominant threat. And this isn't Raquel's fault at the end of the day, to be perfectly honest. It's the creative team behind it. I should phrase it that way. It's the creative team behind it. They're trying to build her as to be this big muscle behind Liv, but it's kind of hard to take her seriously when you have Rhea Ripley knocking her down every single time. So it sort of makes you think in your head, why are we getting a match between them if Rhea doesn't have any issues with her as it is? It would be a whole different ball game if you had Raquel always pushing Rhea around and Rhea's really struggling. But Rhea hasn't really struggled against Raquel at all. So it's kind of hard to really think when they have a match at Crown Jewel, which I assume is going to happen. It's kind of hard to really go in there and be like, there really wasn't any sense of struggle because it's usually Rhea and Liv still in the ring going up against one another, and Raquel's just not even involved. So I thought they had something here when Raquel basically brushed off that headbutt. Like, I thought they had something there. I was like, we're actually pushing forward with this. Great. But then it just led to Raquel just being easily tossed out of the ring. I'm just like, oh, okay, well, back to square one then. All right, cool, great, awesome, fantastic. Don't get me wrong, Rhea should be a force that should be on top a lot, but have her struggle just a little bit. Like, Liv was doing just fine beating her up on her own along with the Judgment Day. Like, Liv was doing just fine. She didn't need Raquel in those moments. She did fine just beating up Rhea in that aspect. But to kind of piggyback with you with the whole Raquel thing, you can even look at the match too. I think there is definitely a lot of ring rust in there because you look at the way she moves around the ring and then compare that to and it's not like I'm supposed to be the slow powerful type. It's
it's almost like she's stumbling a lot.
Yeah.
Like, because like you see just how Io and Kyrie were maneuvering themselves around the ring. Like, even this one part where like I almost thought Kyrie was like pretzeling herself in the corner for a bit, but like the way she was able to maneuver her body around to kind of make it look like she meant to do that.
Yeah.
It was really good. And like, you shouldn't.
Talk about
I'm
the
gonna
big
tie
boot.
this in with like, I
I
think
know
it
there
was
was a spot.
little, yeah.
Yeah, because I know there was a spot where she was going for a big boot and just Kylie just like rolled out of the way immediately.
Oh my
Like
gosh,
she was
yes.
confused or something.
But like, I also kind of turn this around with Liv too, because like, I mean, you look back at Liv, the last like Liv and Rhea match we had, it kind of fell flat, and
Yeah.
like, you watch this tag team match and you're seeing like two, well, at least one of them was a former women's champion, and they're just like they're running around this like running
They're dog
circles
walking
around
them.
your
It
like
was so obvious.
your women's world champion
It's
is
like that clip
being
I sent earlier.
embarrassed.
Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, because
exactly. Like,
I
there
didn't
was
mention
that clip.
it. I didn't mention earlier. There was like a good
mm,
40-second of just Io Sky just going around. I think Raquel. Io Sky even went through the ropes in the corner,
Yeah.
and after that
Caught
they
Raquel.
flip on Raquel, and it just show how so fast Io Sky is just like I felt like she was like a snake just going through the ropes and just
Yeah, she
jumping
knows
around.
what. Yeah.
And with the ring awareness is so obvious of how Io Sky is so loved and like the jumping and everything. She does an amazing job.
mhm.
Yeah, it's her. It's she's pretty much in her own world. It's her game. She knows how to play by it. She knows how to play by her rules. She knows all the cheat codes to work around it and everything.
Yeah.
So like that whole spot, like you saw Rhea just, I mean, with Io just handling Raquel and Liv with ease, pretty much. I mean, it just goes to
Mhm.
show like, you know, how talented Io is and how she's so loved. But like
Yeah.
I think my biggest gripe with this, and this is kind of how I can't really say it's like the same way how I felt about Friday, because the bloodline ending, I've been very on and off with that because it's very repetitive when it's like the ones when it comes to
Mhm.
whoever is on top. But like this whole Lakara, this Lash Legend,
Oh yeah.
was it Jakara Jackson thing, where it's like this is
Yeah.
the second time this week where they cost them the match. And I understand why they're doing it because they have a feud and everything. But again, you know, I feel like it's a lazy finish because we've seen it played out last week. So you could have
Yeah.
just handled your business, either wait until tomorrow in NXT, or you could have done something else a little creative with that. But I'm just honestly hoping that we get some sort of direction out of this. That's why I wasn't a really big fan of like the whole PVC thing when it came PFC thing when it came to Lyra, because Lyra is very talented and she doesn't really deserve to be put into situations like that. And maybe they wanted to
Yeah.
do that and they were okay with it. But at the same time, it's like I kind of want to see Io and Kyrie on a higher stage where they are now. And with them getting
Mhm.
screwed over in the second week, I'm only hoping deep down that tells me tomorrow that they actually get the win over Jakara and Lash Legend tomorrow, because it's like I mentioned with the whole Jey Uso thing of him talking shit and stuff like that. They can't keep
Mhm.
screwing him over and getting away with it. And I'd be
Yeah.
honestly surprised if they go over, because I feel like Io and Kyrie definitely need a lot of momentum right now.
If they don't go over clean, I could honestly see them having a rematch at Halloween Havoc.
They could.
The issue
But,
I
um,
don't have it is this
But
coming
I don't
weekend
know
Sunday,
how
so
fleshed
that,
out that card is right now. So
I'm really curious to see how we're gonna get like
I don't
it
know,
just need to see Io Sky also instigating it, where girl went to the corner and she chose to hit them first, so that threw me off too. But also it could be the adrenaline that got her in the moment to just give the hands what needed to be.
Yeah.
But it just made me question
Mhm.
like Io Sky, they was just there to be their presence. For story purposes, understandable, you had to go along with the segment, but for a fan and everything, like Io, they didn't do nothing to you. They're literally just trying to give their hockey around. Like they're just trying to gather the
I mean,
hockey.
it's like a similar situation where it's like You can't do something to me, and I can't do something to you. So I feel like Io, at least in that situation, was in the right because she was just trying to have a match of Liv and Raquel. So them being there, they're just trying to instigate it, and they're also trying to push for tomorrow's match to give some sort of build up to it. But I'm not really like I'll be straight out honest. I'm not really fully into it when it comes to this whole Lash Legend Chikara Jackson feud between Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Maybe it's a way to showcase like, you know, how great they are in the wing, but you can only go so like this is like the best thing that I've heard all week. You can put on good matches all the time. You can go to different promotions to see a whole bunch of good wrestling matches. But one of the biggest things that you have to do is you have to have a compelling story being told behind it. I don't really see anything compelling behind this besides who's going to be out on top. And that's not really a very creative story to really have behind this match. That's why
like having a match
if you
have momentum and all that.
Yeah. That's why if you actually had them fighting over a legitimate thing that mattered, I
like
would
the tag titles.
Or you could pull a Nikki Cross and just win that thing and throw it in the garbage. I mean, I'd rather just have the mid card belt. That's like the whole thing they're doing with Candice LeRae, trying to build new stars. Mid card belt. You obviously had that thought in your head if you're doing the Speed Championship. I mean, this is something you could have worked with to work with the girls that aren't in the main event picture. I don't know. I'm just not really into this. It's hard for me to really into this because it's like it's almost like anime filler to me. It's there, and you could choose to watch it, or you could skip it, and it's not going to matter at all.
I believe I said it last week. No, last week Monday, because I wasn't here on Friday. I said that it feels like they're being moved up to the main roster, but then also they said it last during the commentary. They said that they've been on all shows on Fridays, SmackDown, and Raw, Monday.
Yeah,
and
I've
NXT.
heard.
So it's like it's interesting. Are they gonna be like a in betweener, like go through all three shows, or they're trying to test the water, see where this leads?
I feel like they are testing the waters to see where it leads, because I did hear how they think they see Metaphor being a potential main roster act. Me personally, I don't see that. That would have been something in like the old administration that they would push stuff like that, but that definitely feels very NXT. I feel like if they really want to do something with them, if they really want to push Lash, his Lash honestly stands out a lot more than Chikara Jackson, because if I'm being completely honest, Chikara Jackson is kind of like
it's kind of like in the of the group.
Yeah, it's kind of like she's in the mirror when Lash Legend is like the true star there. Because you always have them utilizing Lash where she's being showcased when she's, you know, doing what she did with Piper Niven on Friday, or just pretty much showing her strength. Because based on her presentation alone, if I had to choose between the two I really wanted to see on screen to really give a good push, I'd probably choose Chikara Jackson, because she's showing me something where it's like, okay, maybe we could do something with this. But it all depends on where they really fit in, because you can't keep having them go after the tag team titles and lose, and then go after them again and lose. Like, you got to have a proper direction that you're trying to do with them. That's why we always say all the time, and I know this isn't mentioned within the match itself, but that's why we say all the time, if you actually give them something legitimate for them to fight over, you can create other compelling stories behind it. So I'm hoping that's one of the things we get out of 2025 next year. I highly doubt we're getting it this year, but I'm hoping that's something that they at least consider when it comes to like, okay, you know, we got a lot of talent, we got to utilize them properly. Let's make one belt to utilize them, because you could still have the two main titles for the girls. I have no issues with that. You could have one mid card belt, because you can't have two. I'm sorry, that's just oversaturation at that point. Just have one. Yeah, you have a lot of mid card talent for the girls. Just float back and forth. Like that's why it's kind of hard to really spark conversation out of this, because it's like it's just filler to me. I have nothing against the girls involved in here, but it just it just feels very lackluster, and it really doesn't do much for
I wonder
Rhea
why.
and Raquel or Liv or anything.
I wonder why Paul is avoiding the mid card title women's, because he's willing to do crown jewel belts. He's willing to do a women's champion speed belt.
That's more of
The
a
crown
Saudi
jewel
thing.
I know.
Yeah, that's more of a
I know
Saudi
Saudi thing,
thing.
but
Yeah.
more just. I'm just saying general. So like, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know the Saudi thing,
Yeah.
but just in general, with the crown
Yeah.
jewel belts, they keep announcing it during the fucking commentary. Like, look at them. They're treating it with the white gloves. You see how important
Dude,
it is?
you know,
Is 30K this? So like,
I'll
he-
say this.
In the little pelican cases.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
Pelican case. You're trying to be a professional. So for you to have a fucking crown jewel belt, this ugly as hell, cool concept. I'm gonna repeat it as always.
Yeah.
And then we have a women's speed belt,
Right ahead.
which congrats to Candice. I'm very happy for this
Yeah,
for this past
see?
Friday. Great opportunity. But then Paul,
That's
if
what
you
I'm
know,
more interested in.
If you know what the fans are saying, why should we be getting a mid-card title if you not presented this? Is it something in the future coming up? Because this would be a
Yeah.
great opportunity. We have Shayna Baszler, we have Io Sky, we have these people that could represent the mid-card title in a great way. Does
I feel like they should be on the higher end, but definitely if they want to.
Oh yeah,
push
of course,
them.
the higher end. But
Yeah.
thing is,
Yeah.
for Io Sky, probably would be a good opportunity to just have her as a mid
Kyrie would
card
be
to help
perfect
it.
for that.
Oh, Kyrie, a perfect choice as well.
She's another one
I
that
think-
should be on above, but I get what you're trying to say. At least
I think-
have
I
them
think-
somewhere and then build them up from there.
Yeah, I think what's going on in my mind thinking about it, because like I think back to a year ago when we kept saying, "Oh, they need to split the tag titles. They need to split the tag titles. There needs to be a tag title for Raw and a tag title for SmackDown. They need to split the tag titles." And then they didn't do that until WrestleMania season, when I guess they were finally like closer to having the new belts designed.
Yeah,
So you're telling me after
That's
wait
kind of
until
where I'm
WrestleMania
leaning towards.
for the mid card title?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if anything, they could do it at Elimination Chamber, because that's
Yeah, they
you
could.
know that's how they crowned the first ever women's tag team champion.
Yeah.
I
Was
don't
an
mind.
Elimination Chamber match. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind that either. But like,
You got two girls.
that might be partially why we're waiting so long. Is because
Yeah.
maybe they don't have the design ready, or the belt itself isn't ready. That's just pure speculation, though, but like I see similarities between like what people are talking about right now and what we talked about, like, again, just a year ago with things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
No, yeah, I get that. But
yeah.
like I don't know, like even just like pushing like that, like the match to the side, it's I don't feel like at least putting Damage Control and Lash and Jackson to the side, because obviously they have an ongoing feud that's taking place tomorrow in NXT. But just looking at the whole thing with Liv and Raquel, or just in general, Liv, Raquel, and Rhea in general, it's not really like that interesting at this moment. Like that's why I'm
It's not.
saying it's like when you come to these Saudi shows, when you get to them towards like the end of the year, it really falls flat, because I'll admit, I was super invested in this Liv and Rhea storyline, because I can't even begin to tell you the last time that we actually had a compelling women's like feud. Like I can't even really tell you like when was the last time we really had a compelling feud between two ladies. We haven't really had anything like that for a very long time. And it was going so well when it came to when Rhea came back and they were starting everything off. And then it started feeling flat when we head to this whole the bad blood and just looking at how everything is now, because I would definitely like I would definitely want more like feeling into it, like actually have some more like, because like even with Rhea, like Rhea, she doesn't always have to be there at like any she doesn't have to be there at like the entire show, but I would at least love to see her a little bit more instead of like a little pop when she comes out, especially if she is going to potentially get a match with Raquel, which we are like 1 week away from that. So is this going to happen, or is it going to happen on the Monday before? We don't know. I would save it for the pay-per-view personally, but it's like, what are we really doing here? And then after that, it's kind of like you take down the muscle doesn't really come effective anymore, because you took out the muscle, and then all that's left is you got that little War Games match, I would assume is Team Rhea and Liv, and then you potentially have that match with Rhea and Liv at Saturday Night Main Event, and then that's pretty much where the feud ends, because you can only do so much longer, because you could start off strong and you could tell a compelling story, but you got to hit all ends. And at least as of now, the story is very flat with Rhea and Liv. I love both of them. They're very talented. I would definitely love to, have a conversation with them one day and just talk about, certain things or whatever. But just based on what we're seeing right here, and I think even Rhea said herself in an interview that she doesn't want this story to go on forever. Like, definitely she doesn't want it going all the way up until Mania. So it's like, I'm hoping we get something that like gets thrown at us that makes us actually, want to tune in next week to see what happens, because these random brawls and stuff, which is something we also talked about when it came to Judgment Day, when it comes to, them falling flat because of these random brawls we get all the time. Brawls can become effective for so long. It works with Bronson Reed and Seth because that was the story and how it started, but you can't always do that with everyone. So that's just basically the rest of my thoughts on there. I wasn't a super fan of that.
And I'm glad you brought up the whole thing about like the muscle getting taken out, because like it's not the fact that the muscle's getting taken out, because like that's always much like Thanos, it's inevitable.
Oh
like, the muscle getting taken out is going to happen. It's the fact of how quickly she's getting taken out.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like, yeah, you had the headbutt where like Raquel just brushed it off, but then again, she goes in for a rush and just gets thrown out, and then she just gets drop kicked out, and it's just like, okay, well, you're very effective at your job by getting knocked out so easily. Like that's where the problem lies, is like Raquel is not being a good wall for Liv. Like again, Liv was doing so much better just beating up Rhea on her own, when Judgment Day was just like, oh, look at us being our thing. But like again, Judgment Day has just turned into a hot pocket anymore with their whole feuds, with every part of their feud, because like things will get hot again, but like right now we're just in the middle of that cold hot pocket.
Look, if I was a boss, I would have fired Raquel already. You're not gonna fucking be my security and be my muscle, but then get beat up like 5-10 seconds in the match, or 5-10 seconds of the person that you're supposed to defend me from, and you're not even doing your job right. So my G, you are fired. Raquel, you are doing a horrible job as being my muscle. How you being thrown to the side of the ring in the corner while I'm here trying to fight for my life?
Yeah. But hey, do we have any other thoughts on this tag team match, on the Liv, Rhea, Raquel, damage control, Lash Legend metaphor stuff?
No, that's all I have to say. I mean, I think I pretty much let everything out when it came to that little rant I have. Like, I know a lot of us had like some things to speak about tonight when it came to our rants. That was my rant for tonight.
It. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, that was Raw. Again, another fun 2-hour show. I'm so happy with these 2-hour shows.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, Raw overall, I mean, I know I have my issues with like the curse of the week before or whatever, where it's like, okay, we're just doing.
Wait, question. Why are you calling the week before, even though that's next week, Monday, when the pay-per-view is next week?
So those are like the go-home shows.
Oh, okay.
For.
Yeah.
So like. And what I mean with like the week before thing is like, because I've mentioned this before too. It always feels like the Raw or the SmackDown before the go home week. It always feels like they're just shows to like add to the video packages. So it's like, oh, we'll just do another beatdown angle to kind of show that, oh, we're beating them up a lot, things like that. It's like we're
dominant.
Yeah, it's like okay. The story progression on most weeks is like taking 2 steps, whereas like on this week before the go home week, it's more like a half step. Like there's
it's
some
like, so it's kind of like a One Piece toy episode animated.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Pizza Pool. Pizza Pool said this might be a top tier Weebs of the Ring episodes. Thank you for that. I'm glad our episode was a little better than Raw tonight. Like, and don't get me wrong, like the whole week before curse thing that I mentioned, like this was actually the better one of these cursed episodes, but like Yeah, I mean, it was fine. You know, I enjoyed myself. It sounds like my other co-hosts enjoyed themselves, but I'll let them kind of decide. Vash, go ahead. Let me know what did you think of Raw overall?
Fuck Bron Breakker, Team Bron Breakker, go fuck himself. Because my man Jey Uso should have
Yeah.
won. But respectfully, Bron Breakker, love you and everything, and your spears are amazing. But as a fan, I am truly hurt. But understandable for story-wise that what happened was with Jay, he instigated himself on this past Friday night. That's why they came to help him, even though Solo took the spear from Bron Breakker for Jay. So questionable. What was it? Was it all to trying to manipulate? Was it all trying to lie, or was it truly trying to help your younger brother? But then Jacob Fatu, as your enforcer, he took it upon him to say, "Nah, lights out," and the Samoan drop. When it comes to American Made, please get a W. Dragon League, get out of the WO. Just because you're Hispanic/Latino, you don't have to be with them. And additionally, when it comes to the Seth and Bronson Reed, Bronson Reed, continue the trajectory that you're going for. I'm really loving this for you, and can't wait to see you on Friday night, Gunther. Hopefully at the Barclays Center. If not, it'll be the comfort of my own home.
All right, what about you, Drop? How'd you feel about Raw?
So I thought this was a solid show. I'm not saying it was like anything crazy or whatever, but there was some parts of this show that I like. Bronson Reed, Seth Rollins, that's a given. Very good build up. Really appreciate the sort of direction it's going down. But I'm gonna have to agree with Watkins that, you know, when it comes to these kind of shows leading into the go home show, they do feel like very up and down, where it's like you have your highs, but then you also have your lows. And that's pretty much what we got with tonight. Like, I feel like there probably is a lot more good than there is bad when it comes to this show. Mainly because, of course, we got more story when it comes to Bloodline. And then, obviously, what I mentioned was Seth and Bronson Reed. But then there was some unnecessary filler moments, which I'll make that pretty apparent when we dive into things in the future when it comes to things that don't really need to be needed there. Because I would have rather... I'll just throw this one last thing. I would have rather them focus more on Liv and Raquel and Rhea tonight more than that tag match. Because I feel like you could have just left that alone and just left it into Tuesday. You could have just had it right there. You didn't really need any more build up with that. So it's like, I thought it was solid for what it is. Don't really want to go super in depth because we really went in tonight, and I do agree with Pizza Pool. This definitely does feel like a top tier episode. Because I can't remember the last time we really dived in super deep, like we're all the way in the deep blue sea. I mean, hopefully not, because we would have been died because of oxygen levels. But we really went super in depth, and like I said, I honestly can't remember the last time we did this. Not saying we don't do this all the time, but we really went in and expressed ourselves, and that just goes to show the evolution of Weebs of the Ring. It just shows our evolution when it comes to how we were in the beginning to where we are now. We've come a long way, and it really goes to show that we're finally getting comfortable where we are. And even with me saying that, we'll just continue and getting better. Obviously, in our presentation will look different and everything. That's just part of the game. That's just part of evolution. And I don't mind having, and I also don't mind having these, long discussions because, it gives good entertainment for you guys. If you guys are at work, especially, you want something to listen to. If you're have the opportunity to listen to music or listen to podcasts where you're there. I mean, you have something like this to listen to. Take 2 hours or so out of your shift to listen to us or whatever. I mean, hey, there it is. But that's basically how I thought about Raw.
All right, perfect. You know what? Good. And that's a good note to kind of end on as well. So, as we wrap up here and as we think about where we're going to go and who we're going to talk to and when we're going to talk to and, why is Gamora and all that, I do want, I do need help with something, though. And Vash, you're the only person. I always have to call on you for this part because I just don't know where to do, what to do, and where I can find everything that has to do with the Weebs of the Ring, everything that has to do with Animal Weave Studio, everything that has to do with all the other content that we do either by ourselves or on other parts of the team. Vash, where can I find all this information that I could possibly want and need and desire.
If you guys want to know where wrestling and anime collide, welcome to Anima We Studio. We are animation, manga, wrestling, webtoons, and entertainment. We're here to talk about and do the best representation for weebs. And for here, if you're watching us, you are watching us in the spin-off channel Weebs of the Ring under the umbrella of Animal We Studio, where we have everything of Mondays and Friday coverage for on SmackDown, and then soon for Grappling of the Week on a Thursday night show. Stay tuned for that. We are cooking. We are getting to prepping for that show, and for Off the Bench got released for the Animal We Studio channel, and the new anime podcast episode 154 is jumping this week. Next week is episode 155, where it will be the Halloween episode, so stay tuned for those. It will be a good time. Podcast season is coming, and by this Friday everything, all audio feeds should be updated and new. I just need to make 2 new poster thumbnails for audio feeds, but that's all. Once those are made, we are live. Other than that, all the handles, Drop This Box, Walk-ins, Energy Device are all down below in the description, and for Drop This Box and Walk-ins own personal YouTube channel and their content, all down below in the description. So everywhere to find us and the social media and the team will be down below in the description. That's the 3rd time and hopefully the final time.
All right. Well, that will be the final time, because I'm going to say thank you guys for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what Vash just told you to do? Just remember, we are known as Weebs of the Ring on all social media platforms. That's right. Weebs of the Ring has their own Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff that we'll be adding things here in the near future. Also, be sure to use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us about anything regarding wrestling before, during, or after these shows. Feedback is always appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in, and especially tonight too, with a few of the errors that we had tonight. So greatly appreciate you guys, letting us know about some of those things. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Anima We Studio. Thanks to our production team of Vash, Walk-ins, Drop This Box, and Rome for the awesome logo that we have. Thank you for joining us, and remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good one.
Jey Uso should have stayed as champion.
Yeet.
Cry me a river.